Hello. I'm still setting things up. My son's on his way home from Taekwondo. He had a chance to DM a game today, and I had a chance to play it. Sorry, I'm a little distracted because I'm still trying to remember what I'm doing with like, everything you can hear. I'll show you. It's a mess right now. I decided to move the camera now. Now I lost the mouse. All right, come on. There we go. There we go. Okay, so you can see I have a camera. There we go. That is detached, and I lost track of it. Hang on. I need to connect this monitor holder, which holds the camera, on the other side of this paint display over here. So that's what I'm in the middle of doing at the moment while my son gets home from Taekwondo. Let me go back to this one. There we go. All right. Anyways, when he gets back, we're going to discuss how his game session went. He prepped some stuff. He did some random table stuff. We kind of fought one thing. It wasn't like a combat heavy like campaign or thing. We were running it in Shadow Dark, and I think he did a good job of being careful not to wipe us. But I think he thinks he did too good of a job not wiping us because I think he believes the whole game was boring. So, well, I mean, at least that's my thought. I actually don't fully know what he thinks. I got his initial assessment right after the game. Like, I gave him some feedback. I explained to him some things I thought he could have done better. But we didn't really we haven't had the chance to have an in-depth discussion now that he's had time to think about it because he's been gone at Taekwondo. All right, I think I got everything off this mat. I can now try and slide this mat over, and I need to move. Oh my goodness, the camera's knocking miniatures over. Okay, stay there. Stay. I just realized I'm trying to slide this mat over, and my mouse pad is here, and that's not going to work. Come on. All right. Hey, Ticking Tie Bob, how's it going? I still have on my mind that I gotta talk to 1, 2, 3, I think there's like 4 people who I've been talking with in Discord that I want to get running the Pendragon game with. So I haven't forgotten. We got distracted over the weekend. Yesterday we ended up spending like an hour and a half, my son and I, talking about our game session. And today he actually had a chance to DM some stuff. You did. Content surprise. You caught the stream. My son's on his way home from Taekwondo. He should be here in a minute. He's got to eat something too. So, okay. Thank you. I appreciate that ticking time, Bob. I will, but I want you to know it's on my mind. Like, right, I'm not, it's not front burner, but it is a burner for certain. I hear the door. Oh, there you are. Hello. Hey, I put the hamburger and the barbecue sauce and the banana out on the counter for you. Go feed yourself. If you want, you can warm it up and you can bring it up here. Yeah, I'll do that. I'm moving the camera right now.
Oh, you're setting up the... Good.
Oh, so, yeah, I'm moving the paint camera. Content surprise, I do have a Discord channel, and I just last week, made it... Sideburner, there you go, yeah. Just last week made it a community Discord. I am totally new to trying to run a legitimate, a real Discord.
You gotta get someone who will run it for you.
That's what I was thinking. I gotta find someone who's interested in running a Discord for me, and then go hey, do you mind moderating or something? Because I'm I don't really have a lot of rules I want in a Discord, but I would want it to be a place where people can encourage each other in their game stuff, good job. How's it going, Gary? Nice to see you, buddy. How you doing?
Can you open this up for me?
What am I opening up for you?
I need to grab 240 pennies.
What?
I'm running some games tomorrow, and I need...
Hold on, wait. You're running some games tomorrow?
At school.
At school? Gambling?
No.
No, okay.
They're minute to win it games.
I don't know what that means.
It takes a minute to play.
And you need... you need you need $2? So I'm unscrewing this piggy bank? I don't understand.
Because I need it's hard to get them out, so I need 240.
All right, I'm gonna try not to undo it all the way. I don't want to lose your screw. Apparently this thing feels magnetic. But can you hurry up and try and eat? Because I actually wanted to get talking to you about your game. There we go.
Yeah.
Here. So here, look. Oh. You just do this. Leave the screws in. And
Can you grab me a bunch? I'm gonna change.
I gotta do this too, man.
Well,
Can we? Do we have to do this right now? You said this is for school tomorrow. Yeah. Man. Okay. I'm gonna take these screws out. Wait. PA. Is that Pennsylvania? Hold on. I'm trying to do my my states. That's Pennsylvania, right? Trying to think if there's any other states that start PA. How's it going, Newtsy? Gary, so you're working until, you said you're working, you're off work in 5. In 5 minutes. Okay, cool. Anyway, so ticking time, Bob. Yes, got that thing in mind. In fact, Gary, now that you're here, Gary, are you interested in trying a Pendragon game? I was gonna ask you and AJ and a couple other people, I think Salty Nick, to see if you'd be interested in joining a Pendragon game. Ticking Time Bob here is going to run a game for me to teach me how to play the system, and if you're interested and you got free time, we can try and mash that up, get you trying a different system other than Savage World. All right, I think come on. Oh, no, it's breaking. Is it okay if the plexiglass breaks? I'm trying not to, but... Okay, am I supposed to count these two? It's cracking the plexiglass. Okay, am I supposed to count these? We get both hands. Get both hands. It's gonna fall on the ground.
Well, I have.
Okay. That looks like 100 or so, maybe 200. Here's some more. You have to count them. You have to bring an exact amount. Man.
No, I want like better.
All right, I think I got it. Let's see. Yeah, that's the thing. We don't know exactly when. I think the idea of when is whenever we can get us free. And since they need to arrange it with Ticking Time Bob as well, our thought is sometime, sometime in the next few weeks to get it started and try and find a regular time we can do it so we can play a game like, I think he said twice a month or once a month, but we wanted to have it be like a kind of recurrent enough thing that we're familiar with the campaign and what we're doing and all that. System sounds interesting. Hey, go downstairs and eat so I can get talking to you about your game today. Dang it, I got more pennies here. Okay, you gotta get this ready. Okay, that's fine. I'm gonna keep setting this thing up, and I guess I'm gonna assume that you're not gonna be ready until like 8:15. Is that okay? Leave you be. Okay, all right. That's fine. I'm doing my own thing. All right, I got a bunch of pennies here. I'm gonna put them in this box. All right, got that handled. Let me think, what were we saying? Before he got here, I was talking about his game. Oh, now that he's here, I don't really want to talk about his game until I can actually have him here to give me his feedback on his game, because I think he's had enough time go by that he might have been able to formulate some opinions about whether he enjoyed running the game, whether he think it went well, or any of that. So, yeah. So I'll leave my assessments until he's here to come chat too. Yeah, okay. I mentioned to someone, who was I talking with today? So I got talking with Jorben, over at Elder Goblin Games, and we were talking about Shadow Dark a little bit. I think I'm gonna try and make a video with him tomorrow where we just discuss some tabletop RPGs, and it's probably gonna be a video that's on his channel. And I thought it'd be like an interesting time to talk to him, because like we're gonna be talking about tabletop RPGs, and he's coming from like North Carolina, and so I don't know. I found that whole thing kind of interesting, because like he's going through the middle of something really traumatic and like life changing, and hey, these tabletop RPGs have been some way to kind of connect with his family that he's staying with, and so that in and of itself is interesting. Point being, I mentioned to him just briefly some of my thoughts on Wild Sea as I'm looking through it. I'm really interested in this system, and I'm kind of fascinated with some of the ways that this game mechanically solves a lot of the issues that I've been having with some of the tabletop RPGs that we've been playing. You know, obviously I have to get it play tested. I have to, you know, play in the system, but in concept, a bunch of the ideas kind of go, huh, I guess we wouldn't have a problem with this one thing because of how this game plays. So I'm interested in that, and that's it's also been interesting just looking at different systems. Like I have a couple other that just came in today. The 2D6 system from hold on, DM Scotty. He sent me a book, so I'm gonna start highlighting that one and, you know, try to wrap my head around it.
Pennies.
Pennies. I put the rest of the pennies in that box right there. You might want to just dump it into your hand. It'd be a lot easier. Okay. Glue and stuff. Getting some sandwiches. Good job. Hold on. The what? When Lex gets home, I'll have her send Master V or whoever it is. Sorry, Master Felix. I'll have him send some money to Master Felix. Okay. Sure. You going to grab food or taking stuff out to your mom? Okay. All right. I think I might have to deal with this thing not being all the way over. I don't like it, but it's funny when I made this whole setup, I designed it for like to play computer games on, you know, because I was going to be like a pro streamer playing Fortnite or something, and that's not at all what it's used for now. And so like now it's so stupid. Now all this fancy computer stuff is totally in the way of my awesome painting center, and I'm trying to get my awesome painting center to be more awesome, and I'm like, this stupid mouse pad in my way. Sorry. Obviously first world and also luxury problems. Hang on, there we go. Got that off.
Are you moving the mouse pad?
I'm trying to move the mouse pad, but I'm trying to mostly move the crafting center, because once I can move the crafting center, then I can put the camera over here, and then once I get the camera over here, I can move the actual camera to it. This is one of those, like, the lady ate the fly problems. Anyways, I'm kind of just running the stream at the moment, Bishop, until whenever you're ready. I'm not trying to pressure you. I'm just letting you. I get it. I was just. You don't have to get salty with me. I was just explaining to you. Okay. I still don't think you get what I'm saying. I'm saying just relax. It's fine. Okay. At some point, I might start talking about your game. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay. As if I do that. Oh, maybe not. You know what? I'll talk about playing a character. That was fun. Go ahead.
Where's the pennies?
What do you mean?
No, you put.
The whole first one? I piled a bunch into your hand.
Where's the box?
Box? I don't know. Did I move the box? You moved the box. I didn't touch the box. That's a different box. Yeah, I don't think I have the box. Okay. All right. Yeah. Let's see. Oh, yeah. No, you're not late at all. So I got to be a player in his game today, and him is my son. I got to be a player in my son Bishop's game today. We had gotten talking about running games on Sunday, and I think I successfully explained to him some of the reasons why he might like to be a dungeon master. Oh, why did I plug that in over there? That's a little out of reach now, isn't it? Anyway, so he got a chance to be a dungeon master, and my hope was to have a conversation with him and see what he liked about it. I enjoyed playing, and yeah, it was actually fun to play with my other players, because his uncle and his friend Landon came over, so I got to now like play with Landon and his uncle, and that was a different experience. Like it was interesting to try and collaborate with people that normally I'm used to these people collaborating against me, you know, not like really against me, but like collaborating against the stuff I come up with or the stuff I put to them. And so now I was on the other side going like, hey, let's try and problem solve this thing. And that was fun, because like, so we're sitting there going, okay, there's this thing happening in this house up here, and and I'm going, okay, so-and-so, you have this ability, and you have this ability, and I have this ability. Let's do this thing, and let's go boom, 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 this 3-step process. And that was really fun. It was fun to creatively come up with a solution to a problem someone else is making. And I haven't, what's going on? You need more pennies to come out there? I'm currently holding a camera, man, so here. All right, I'm holding a camera and getting distracted. So yeah, it was fun to, darn it. All right, that's not working at all because that cord is too short. All right, hang on. It was fun to come up with, try and come up with solutions to in-game problems. You know, and also it was also, I mean, okay, during the whole thing, I was also kind of, I don't want to say I was testing Bishop. That's not quite right, but I was trying to put solutions up to problems that he presented us with, but also give him like feedback on what I was expecting from the game, right? So like he sends this rat to encounter us, and now once the rat is dead, I'm like, it's because it's a giant rat. I'm like, okay, are giant rats normal? Does my character expect this? Okay, I want to start searching and see if this, like, maybe this is a were rat, right? Because I wanted to see if he was going to take that bait and make it a were rat, you know, or something. Like I'm looking for clothes scraps, see if it has pockets, or, you know, I'm checking, I'm just searching it, right? Is it an experiment or something? And he's like, no, it's just a mutant rat, you know. So it was like, okay. So but I was trying to.
It was a were rat.
Was it ended up being a were rat?
Yeah, but I made it not a humanoid because normally were rats are humanoids.
Oh, okay. Did you?
And
Okay.
I made it a giant, like, mutated rat.
You made it a giant mutated rat. Okay. Okay. I forgot about that part then.
It had clothes on.
Oh, it did have some clothes on?
And then it had scraps of clothes.
See, I wasn't sure if that was like it ate a person, and so it was just still wearing that person's clothing. I didn't get the idea it was like a were rat. So, anyways, I'll engage with you when you're done with your thing. Right now I'm just chatting while I try and fix my camera. Let's see. One of the best ways to learn. Let's see. Okay, one of the best ways to be a better player is to be a DM. One of the best ways to learn what stress is too. Let's see. Fair. Let them know. See, toast to Jesus. Let them know every DM forgets something that they really wanted to include in the game, and every DM thinks the whole game was terrible. So I'm supposed to remind you, was everyone smiling, laughing, and cheering?
Not really.
Some of the time we were, but I was also somewhat directly using it as an opportunity to try and teach him. And he can, when he's done doing what he's doing and he brings his food up here, he can let me know how annoying or not annoying that was, and I'll leave that to him to be upset at me about, you know. It's possible he is. All right, I got a plug over here somewhere that I need to pull out. Where is that camera plugged in? I plugged it in. Man, did I plug it in underneath here? Oh. All right, so I may not be setting up this camera tonight because that is like way out of the way. Hold on, let me see if I can get it even close.
You're still waiting for me. So
Yeah, I know he's still waiting for you.
I'm gonna be a little bit.
Okay. Yeah, but I'm also distracted, and I can be a little more focused on what I'm talking about than setting up the camera. So I'm just gonna take what I can get with this thing for the moment. Set this up in like a, no, don't loosen it, tighten it. Go. All right, let's see what that looks like. Other one. Greetings and salutations, Wesley. How's it going? Let's see. Not everyone's capable of being a GM. You know, I thought about that today. Maybe there's some people who can't be a GM, and I still like, I don't like, something in my heart rejects that. You know, even though it might be true, there's a thing where I'm like, oh, that's a bummer, right? Because it's there's okay. Maybe you can explain what you think it is, but there is some kind of blessing in being a dungeon master and like learning how to be a better one, right? Like there's some way that being a dungeon master maybe teaches you how to be a better player and how to engage people. But like it might be hard for an average player to do. Certainly, it might even be impossible for some people to do. But at the same time, I'm like, you know, everyone can change and learn stuff, right? Like everyone can adapt to new situations. And why should this be any different, right? Like there can be people who go like, look, I don't read books, and then one day they learn how to read books or something, right? Like, and the same thing with like certain interests. Like I'm not necessarily let's see. When it comes to sci-fi, I'm probably generally more interested in Star Trek than I am interested in Star Wars. And there are times in my life where I've fluctuated back and forth. And I don't know, like that's obviously a different example, but there's something in taste that extends into desire, right? Like your interests push you in a certain direction. If I was super interested in getting better at tabletop RPGs and I came to the conclusion that the best way to get better at tabletop RPGs was to dungeon master, then I'd be hard pressed, like, oh, I better learn how to dungeon master, right? So in my mind, I'm like, I don't see it as being only certain people can do it. Maybe only certain people can do it really well. I don't know. I know this is like that same argument that Ratatouille makes, and it's like, everyone can cook. And it's like, I don't know. I sound like that super hippie, Pixar. Is that their name? Is their name Pixar? That can't be their name. Is that the name of the company that makes the Disney movies, Bishop? Pixar? It's Pixar. Okay, apparently I got it right. Yeah. All right. I know. It's like no one's special. Everyone's can be special, right? That's like their message every movie. Well, I guess I might be agreeing with them. Because that's kind of what Bishop said at the end of it. He's like, maybe I'm not made to be a GM. Like maybe this isn't my thing or whatever. Let's see. Made a bunch of. I'm missing a bunch of things here. Greetings and salutations. Got that. Weird giant rat putting on someone else's clothes. Yeah. No. I mean, like, I guess I was trying to give a lead in case this was just a random encounter, but because there is something to that. Like if a GM senses the fact that players are looking for poison in the water. Well, there's like the age-old question, right? It's the water and the poison, chicken and egg poison water, right? Like, yes, the water's poison because you're looking for poison. You find poison, and now I'm like, who's poisoning this water? But I think there's a lot of GMs who respond to those kind of situations. When a player checks for a trap and you didn't ask for a trap check, hey, they might find one, right? Like lots of people are telling me that's not the wrong way to play. So I, as a player, was trying to feed him some of those leads and see what he did with them. Let's see. By the way, that little advice was for Forever GM of 40 years. And yes, I do still forget some little detail. It always turns out it wasn't that important after all. Interesting. I think it's good advice anyways, because like, if I go back to some video I edited like I don't know, a week ago or something, back when I used to edit videos, after I watch it like one or two times, I'm like, I hate it. I absolutely hate it. Like I can see all the errors I made. I can hear the audio being out of tune in certain points, right? So, and I'm sure it would get worse if I don't know. It could get worse or better. The fact that I can go watch an old video and take an opinion poll of it again is very different than trying to recollect that game session. Like for me, when I have a bad game session, I'm like, I'm having a hard time remembering the good stuff to it. So, but I get what you mean. It's good advice to not assume you actually did the worst, and also kind of remember like, hey, were people laughing and smiling? That's very helpful advice. GM's a leadership role in the end. It's not for everyone. I totally understand that position, and I just wholeheartedly dislike it. But at the same time, like, okay, I get it. I used to manage GameStop stores, and there were certain people who just weren't like managers. Like they weren't interested in the thing where you try and figure out who's best for a job. Like they were not interested in that skill set. So I totally understand what you mean, but I also think it might be a learned trait. I think you can take some amount of effort and try and go, do I know how people work, and can I figure out how to make them work together in the best way, right? Because that's kind of what a GM is doing, right? Like you're going, okay, what are these 5 players? What do they all like to do, right? Okay, some social things, some back and forth, some problem solving, some puzzles, a little bit of combat. They want some random outcomes. And so you're figuring those things out, and as a GM, you're trying to tailor a situation to satisfy the needs and desires of that group of people, right? That's kind of a leadership skill. I totally agree, and I guess I want it to. I sound like a total squishy person in this thing. I want it to be true. but I think you might be right. And the reason I want it to be true is because I'm like, hey, maybe my son's right, and this thing is not for him. In which case, I don't know what that means, right? Because I guess like if someone can't GM, does that mean that they can't be a good leader? Or do they just don't like leadership? I don't know. I don't know if I have the answer to that. You know, I mean, maybe GMing is only like one small patch of leadership. Let's see. It helps you learn how to be a better facilitator in a group. I agree. Facilitator in general. I agree. It definitely can improve your social awareness and teamwork. Let me think about that. Social awareness, yes. Teamwork. If you're talking in relation to being a player, then yes, I agree. Teamwork from a GM perspective, if you mean it regarding like can a GM learn how to do teamwork? I get that it could do that as well, but it's more observing a model than acting out the behavior. Although you could have like NPCs try and do a leadership thing, and then I think you might be on rails or something. But I think you might have been talking about being a player. Let's see. 5K, very true. I had an engineering friend who played D&D that thought he could DM. He was technically great, but the story was terrible. Interesting. And that was regarding GM's leadership role in the end. It's not for anybody. Okay. Huh. Okay, so maybe it's more than leadership. And I guess this is the thing, like, okay. You know, like if you're, I'm trying to think of a metaphor. I'm not sure if it's essential. I'm gonna go ahead and skip the metaphor. So let's say you're GMing, right? And okay, let's say you're not very good at it. Well, then you can probably someday teach people how to do it because you weren't good at it and you had to learn the steps. But if you're a GM and you're naturally good at dungeon mastering, like it's gonna be impossible for you to teach anyone how to do that skill because you didn't have to learn anything. So it's like, I don't know, I guess it's better to recognize you might not be good at the thing. Hang on, phone's ringing, which means that my wife is outside with my younger son, and so, hello, is he asleep? I'll be right up. Okay. All right, gotta carry up a passed out smaller child. Okay, that I think is stable enough. Let me make sure I didn't unplug it. Wrong mouse. Come on, there we go, wide. Am I gonna stall? Nope. All right, there we go. Okay, so that is up and it is not unplugged. There we go. Okay, all right. All right, I'm just gonna leave that. That's kind of confusing. That's very confusing. Okay, I'm gonna have to readjust the scenes, but all right, I'll be right back. I'm going to get a passed out child, and then he should be done eating in a minute. Hang on, I'll be right back. Okay. All right. My water. Oh, you're coming up. Okay. I don't think I saw your. That's okay.
Hello. Barkley, Chloe. There's a penny on the ground. What is a KVM 1 mouse / keyboard? Finger. Stick.
All right. You're here. All right. Let's see. What I missed a bunch of stuff. Let's see. Okay. Pixar. Yes, it is Pixar. It just didn't sound right when I said it. I was like, Pixar. Why does that not sound right? Squid Vicious says, always wanted to ask. He's got you t-shirts. What do they refer to, and who or what is it promoting? So, he's got you is not like a trademark. I guess it's a slogan or something. These are the shirts that I get from working at Camp Agape. Camp Agape is the Christian ministry to kind of give support and attention to kids whose parents are in prison. Thank you so much. And every year they have a camp. There's a bunch of different states that have these camps, but in California, that's the one that I go to. They have the camp. Kids go away for the weekend of like Labor Day, and it's all paid for the kids, and everyone who works there is like volunteering. And it's basically just a camp where you're giving them a fun time. They're playing games. You're doing stuff, and the kids are basically given attention. Like we're trying to do the thing that's commanded in the Bible to like look after the widows and the orphans. And I get these shirts every year that I go there. I've been there 3 years, I think. It's a wonderful experience. So these He's Got You shirts are from Camp Agape. Thank you for the questions, Squid Vicious. Let's see. Well, the addition of my statement, and people find different things important as a GM. So truly anyone can do it and find their people. That's a good point, right? There's probably going to be some people who really appreciate having a GM who thinks like them or plays the game they want it played or whatever. Let's see. Another piece of advice is trying to remember that everyone comes to the table for different reasons. Some love dice, chucking action, or talking puzzles. That's right. No, I agree, and it's the DM's position or job to figure out what their table is. And I think that thing can probably take some time. That's probably. I think that actually might be the hardest job of a GM, is figuring out what it is your players are looking for, because in the worst case, your players are telling you that they're interested in something they're not. And in the best case, they actually know what they're interested in, and hopefully they're honest enough to tell you. But in both cases, you could actually get someone who knows what they want, but they feel too uncomfortable to ask for it, or they don't know what they want, and they're just going, sure, the game's fun, right? We're having fun. And you could actually have a whole table filled with those people. And if you as the DM aren't someone who can adjudicate or tell the difference between someone telling you something that you get what I'm saying? Like, it's a complicated idea about understanding people, but as a GM, you have to be the one who's able to figure out, like, oh, my players are actually checking out more in combat, even though they're saying they like combat, right? Like, what's going on? So, I'm gonna try and speed through these since he's here, because I read slow and I get hung up on stuff. So, yeah, I think it's awesome that you've inspired him to run games, in my opinion. If he has stepped up to the plate, he has it in him to be a great DM. Don't let him lose hope, especially if it's something he likes. I think that's a great advice. And I was actually going to take a moment, after we talked for a little bit, I was going to go look up a few comments from some of the videos I put up, right? Because we put up that long video yesterday where you and I were just talking, right? There's some people who come to that video and they're like, Nate, you're wrong, you suck, you're the worst GM, okay? And they're not saying those words literally, but they're giving a message where it's like, new DM, you got new DM written all over for you, you kind of stink. And you know what I do when I read that? I go, let me make sure I understand what you're talking about, right? You're saying, I did this wrong, and I did this wrong, right? Like am I missing anything else? And then I'm going to think about it, I'm going to process it, and I'm going to go, what about what they just said is true? It's really hard to do. And I push some of that in your face a little bit, right? It's really easy for you to push back on me because it's just like, I'm stupid dad, right? But when the internet starts telling you you're wrong, you have like two choices. Either you ignore them and you live in an echo chamber of your own, no, I'm perfect. Or you go, hey, maybe they actually have, maybe they're onto something and I'm too stupid to see it. Okay.
But you're kind of right. I do kind of suck as a DM right now.
Okay, I wouldn't say you suck as a DM. I think you actually did a better job than I did as a DM, because at least you listened to someone else's advice on how to do it, and you actually even asked me if I would give you some help, right? You're like, hey, can you help me make a hex crawl? Show me what to do. That's a start I didn't take. So you actually did a better job at it than I did, because I went, man, I DM'd for Marshall, in a one-person game where I could never upset him, and I did that for like a year and a half or something. I can obviously DM for 6 people. That's how stupid I went into it. You went in asking for a little advice. You did a better job than me, okay? Let me, let's see. Okay, got some TTRPG philosophy going on here. Yeah, I try not to do that too much, but no, I don't even try not to do that. I'm just not gonna call it that.
Call it that.
All right, it's called that. But there's already some guy who's got that as his thing, like he's the GM philosopher. So I don't want to be taking his shtick, right? I don't know. Okay, let's see. New angle in the setup. Have a good one, Toes. Okay, so Toes to Jesus is taken off, I guess. Helm's Deep was an awesome one. Final piece of advice: keep it simple for your first couple years DMing. Lord of the Rings is awesome. Keep in mind all those storylines with all those characters. Okay, so okay, so Toes was let me see. I missed one more thing. Hang on. Okay, yeah, he was talking about big scale stories, I think. Lord, okay, keep in mind. I'm actually not sure if I got his total point that he was trying to make. I think he was saying you have to work up to those epic stories. That's what I'm gonna take from it. You have to work up to that epic Helm's Deep story. You might have to start small with things, right? Okay.
I think he was saying you can use those as resources.
That might be true too. That might be like that could be. Okay. Get a KVM, 1 mouse and keyboard. I have a KVM with 1 mouse and keyboard. I have a second mouse because I don't like having to switch the whole thing over every time I want to click on the other screen. Let's see. You can get by not knowing the rules very well, but if you have challenges, weaving a story better together, hard to teach them, at least in my opinion. Okay. Content Surprise mentioned you have a banana. Let's see. He says he's rooting for you. KVM box allows you to connect multiple. Yeah.
I asked what it is.
What's that?
I asked what it is.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay. All right. By the way, I actually started your. Okay, so Flick Flack Attack says he actually started his own Shadow Dark game last Saturday, and our Shadow Dark games have been helpful with getting things up and running. So thank you very much. Thank you very much, Flick Tack Flack Attack. I mean that's helpful to hear because I get real nervous making those videos on occasion. I don't know. It's coming out to the internet and admitting that you're stupid about something, which is kind of what I try and do. It feels stupid. It's like if I just say this thing, people are gonna know I'm dumb or that I did it wrong, right? And that's I don't know. But I appreciate you saying that. That makes it more worthwhile. So, okay, I have caught up on the comments. So let's hear it. What did you think of dungeon mastering? And I'm gonna let you. Here. Why don't you come in a little bit more so you're closer to the mic, so I can make sure I hear your voice doing the thing to the waveform monitor that mine's doing. Like you don't have to sit right on me. Just sit a little closer.
Right here.
That's fine. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So, what did you think of dungeon mastering?
It's very difficult and time consuming.
Okay. All right. Let's start with difficult. Can you explain what you mean by difficult?
Like, it's difficult to prepare everything like you think you need. Like you're like, oh, I might need these 5 things or these 2 things, and then you end up needing these 20 things.
Okay.
Like,
so you got okay.
Like I had way too little prepared.
Okay.
In each hex, and I started using random tables, which wasn't good.
So, what did you learn from that? From your first session? Like, what would you so okay. So stop it.
Yeah.
Leave it.
There.
Okay. So, did that teach you anything?
I guess I need to prepare more.
Okay. Let's play that out for a moment, okay? All right, let's say for your game you prepared this 1 hex really well, okay? Are you also going to prepare these surrounding 9 hexes also?
No, you prepared that one. That one. Not that one.
No, okay, but just
yes,
a couple random ones?
No, you prepare every other hex.
You prepare every other hex well?
Yes.
Okay, so what if we don't go to any of those hexes?
Then I guess you have a bunch of garbage hexes.
Well, no, I mean, like, so what if What if we get caught up doing some small tertiary thing over here because you give us some vague league from a random table about a farm in distress, and then we spend 3 hours playing the game in the farm, and you prepared all these other hexes? Like, what do you do with that?
I guess you don't roll random tables in the garbage hexes.
Okay. But then what if we travel through the game avoiding all the important hexes, like because we're on a path and we're worried about, like whatever,
Then you prepare a bunch of random hexes as well with a little bit more than nothing.
Okay. What do you think are some other possible solutions to that problem? Like, let's assume that you could prepare every single hex, right? Or, you could just start with like Dolom Wood, right? Or Kelsey Dion's Shadow Dark supplement, the Gloaming. Right, you could just play off the Gloaming. It's already got a bunch of prepared hexes with some with some specific things going on and some leads for the characters to interact with. Why not just, and it's not even, it's like 10 pages. In 10 pages you can figure out what's going on in this hex.
Doesn't sound as fun.
Why is that not as fun?
I guess because it's not as creative.
Okay, so if you're not creating it yourself, okay.
Well, some of the fun is creating it yourself.
Well, okay, you guys seriously leave. Can you? Okay.
It's so hard not.
Can you leave those alone? Because
Yes.
it's very distracting. Okay. Can you just fidget with your food or something? All right, let me see if okay, so if you don't create it yourself, okay, I'm hung up on what seems like a conundrum, and you tell me how to work myself out of it. If you don't create it yourself, then it's not interesting, but it's too much work to create it yourself. Am I hearing those two things correctly?
Kind of. If I had more time, it would have been easier, I guess. But last night I had wanted to do other stuff as well.
Right, you were gonna watch some Sherlock with Lex.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah, okay. There's a guy. Let's see if is it Matt who's on here? Yes, Crafty Matt. 0 prep games he's running. What do you think of that? I mean, when I played with Salty Nick the other day, just for a few minutes, I didn't play for that long. I just jumped into the back end of their pirate board game. It was a wholly unprepared encounter. Everything was random, right? Even to the point where he says, "You guys find three chests. What's in them?" And then we kind of go, "Oh," and he's like, "You guys want to just make up treasure, or I'll give you some leads." And he rolled some random leads, and that ended up making really interesting stuff being in the chests. Like, because he gave me like 2 vague words, and he was like, "Okay, seriously, leave those. I can't believe you can't just leave those alone."
I was moving my foot, and I was like,
Stop it. He gave us a lead like secret, what was it? Secret hideout or something like that. And I was like, it's a castle in a box, right? You open up the box and you get to go inside. It's like a traveling castle or something, right? Or it's a staircase going down, and you open up the box and you go into the staircase and it goes down and it leads you into like one of those, like, what's that Harry Potter guy with the beasts, the magical beasts guy, Frederick something, I don't know, whatever that guy's name is.
Douglas.
Yeah, okay. Anyways, and I was like, oh, that's a cool idea, right? But like that came from a random table because I had to make sense of that. So you can play a wholly unprepared game, right? And people manage to do it. And it can be fun.
That does sound fun.
Okay. All right. So your first complaint is you were unprepared, or your first complaint was preparation was hard. Do you think that preparation could be something you'd get better at if you did it more often?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Let's talk about what else you thought didn't work well in the game. Let's basically do wishes and stars right now. Okay, now that you've had time to think about it, you know what? Let's go the other way, because I'm starting with like what'd you think of it. Now let's just go your stars and wishes. Let's keep it stars and wishes. Tell me what you liked about it, and then let's talk about what you didn't like.
I like trying to run it. It was like difficult, but I guess it was like a challenge. So my wish would be that I would want to get better at it, but my star would be it's so hard not to do.
Okay, put your foot down. Put your foot down.
Okay.
All right, I'm gonna have to move your chair or something. You
Sorry,
can't stop playing with the handle.
It's like subconscious.
Okay, all right. So You're gonna have to start over because I already forgot what you're saying. Okay.
My star was that I enjoyed trying to run the game, and my wish is that I would want to get better.
Okay. So you think you're actually interested in keep doing it, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Whereas after the game, when you were first getting the information, how were you feeling?
Kind of bummed.
Okay. All right. What were you bummed about?
I guess because I feel like I didn't do very well, and
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. I can understand that. I'm not gonna lie to you. There were parts of it that were good and interesting, and there were parts of it where I was like, I'm tired. I don't know how to get out of this situation that we're in right now. Right? Like I'm ready. My character and me are ready to walk away from this situation. Oh, okay. New situation. Oh, I don't know how to solve this situation either. I don't think there is a solution to this situation. I'm gonna walk away from this one, right? So like that happened a couple times where I thought maybe there's some way to interact with it, but since you didn't really know the outcome of the thing, you didn't want to let it go, right? And then the other part was there was a few times where you played against us like a war gamer.
Yeah.
And that was a little bit difficult. The fact that you're saying you're willing to try and get better is encouraging, because I get the sense that you had fun trying. Is that correct?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
The idea is exciting, I guess. Like, I guess it seems like it could be really fun, but it wasn't a lot of fun that time.
Okay. Let's talk about system in just a second. Let me see what. Hold on. Wesley had to take off. So taking time bomb says sometimes players' Fortnite parts are random, off the cuff, or random tables. Oh, favorite. No, not Fortnite. Favorite. Okay. Sometimes the players' favorite parts of are the random things. So, I would agree with that. There are some elements of randomness that can be very interesting, especially when players get to create things. Where are you going? Wait. Oh, here, if you're going to the bathroom, just take this and set it down on the counter in the bathroom instead of at the computer.
Okay.
Are you coming back?
Yes.
All right, because we were talking. You can say something. Wesley took off. Let's see. What if when your players go to a place you haven't planned, you roll dice to give you ideas? And I think that. I think that can really work in a game where there's a lot of exploration, and I've already thought about that a little bit. Like, depending on the type of setting, you could actually set up a game where your players know that that's the case, and so when they're going to a new square, it could be like, oh, enemy encampment, or it could be like, oasis or something, right? And I think that might be an interesting way to really play a game, is like with a heavy exploration emphasis. Gary, how would you run a game in Savage Worlds? Or the games you're running in Savage Worlds, do you do a lot of prep? I guess anyone who's running a game in chat, let me know. Like, are you guys running lots of prep?
Just move the keyboard over.
Move the keyboard over. Where move the keyboard over?
Push this over.
Move the keyboard over this way?
Yeah.
It's already like at the edge of the desk, right?
It's not.
It's like at the edge of the desk. It's already in a totally unusable place. Let me see if I can put it. Oh my! There you go. Okay. Wow. All right. Thanks.
Yeah.
Okay. You don't have to keep. No. Just leave it. Just leave it. No. Don't. Just leave it.
Oh, I was gonna paint.
What? We're chatting right now. No. Because if you're painting, you're not gonna pay attention. I'm talking to you about you running the game. Okay. What's that? You cannot pay attention and paint. Zero prep games are kind of one of the fun parts of OSR games, especially with the newer OSR like the board games or Shadow Dark. You can buy or make many. Is there any way you can just stop doing stuff? Here, do this one. You understand you're like just as bad as your brother?
I'll grab a cube.
Oh my goodness. Do you have to? Fine. Go ahead. My goodness. Okay. Especially with the newer OSR like the board games or Shadow Dark, you can buy or make so many random tables and just have zero prep games easily. Sorry, I'm laughing because there's finally no noise going on at the table. Let's see. Flack Attack says he actually thinks the hex crawl for the first game is extremely tough. So kudos for running it at all, or for running and still being fun. Yeah, no, it's a good point. And he actually made a very interesting hex crawl with like a story and a world setting. He made like a situation where there was like a kingdom that used to rely on a like a lucky dragon.
No, not a luck dragon.
Oh my goodness, fine. A magical dragon that was a beneficial dragon. Yes, hold that and stop touching other things.
It was just a normal good dragon.
It was a normal good dragon that was like a totally chill dragon. And then one day, like, it up and flies and freaks out and has like a panic attack and crashes into the ground, and it's like a big dragon, so there's like a huge earthquake. And then like the good dragon that's a beneficial dragon that's not really a luck dragon like dies or something, and the whole nation around it is like freaking out trying to figure out what happened to their good luck dragon.
Magic is getting disrupted.
And magic getting disrupted. So we created an interesting situation because we were like, let's go check out that dragon. Let's see if we can go to the crash site or something, see what we learn. Maybe it's still alive, right? And then we just never really got to that because we got distracted with like a bunch of random encounters and stuff. So I think the way to solve that was the thing I mentioned earlier. Just start us right at the crash site and let us try and figure out what's going on. Maybe there's other,
maybe a more like longer campaign sort of.
Okay, and if you want to do more of a longer campaign, that's fine. I still saved all the stuff, right? We can still keep playing it. We can play it like every Monday or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay, but then the question that was going to come up: what do you think about the system of Shadow Dark? Would you want to keep playing? Okay. So let's talk about systems because we got talking about systems in our longer video. But let's talk about systems and what we like about systems and what we don't like. And you start. Like what system would you want to make it in?
Well, I know I like playing in Dragonbane. Dragonbane is probably, now that I've thought about it for a while, I think Dragonbane is probably my favorite system to play in.
Let's talk. Like, explain that. I know we mentioned it some in that longer discussion we had yesterday. So you don't have to go.
I think it's my favorite is because like the class combos are so like unique, and then also you have to do a lot of thought to make a good character, and it makes that tick in me that that like crunchy war game.
Okay, so you're getting to perfect a imbalancing system, and you're getting to try and abuse the metrics of a potential outcome. Okay, so when you engage with that potential outcome machine, your brain senses that there are optimal and suboptimal choices, and as you make choices in optimal patterns, you get like little dopamine hits or something.
I guess.
Is that correct? Okay, all right, so I totally understand that, and that's one of the reasons why I enjoyed making that Dragonbane video, because I was like, it was triggering that thing in me. I was like, oh, connect backstab to this, super meta, like one-shot kill on 4 different targets in a turn character. Like, that's interesting. Okay, so, and then I think we both noticed that in that system, you make a character that's pretty unique. Like, people would maybe know that person. They'd be a big deal. They'd have like leather-bound books and stuff.
Probably not, because everyone is like that.
Okay, fair enough point. Sure.
Everyone can take on a dragon in that game.
Well, no, not everyone, because I mean, the character that Lex was playing was pretty ordinary. I just made like a sort of a tanky character, right?
But I mean, everyone at 10th level is like a massive OP character.
Sure, okay. That's like Dungeons and Dragons, right?
Yeah.
So you see that Dragonbane could get like Dungeons and Dragons.
But I feel like I liked it more than Dungeons and Dragons because the turns are fairly quick, and also I like the initiative system a lot. There's a lot of things I like about it, and it's different than Dungeons and Dragons. I guess it's more simple and more complicated at the same time.
Well, you seem to be more interested in the magic system in Dragonbane than you were in Dungeons and Dragons.
Because also some of it is like their magic system plays into the like murder. Well, I mean, so does Dungeons and Dragons. Like, you have the ability to design a character that can cast True Strike and hit someone in one turn. Like garbage stuff. But you know what I mean? Like, okay, you have you could make a character that could cast True Strike on themselves. You could cast haste on themselves in the first turn, and then start steamrolling through people, and then maybe you could design them in such a way that the problem is that if you want to do all that stuff, you have to like waste all your levels multi-classing your garbage character.
Okay, so you don't like the fact that you have to multi-class in a bad way to get good things.
Yeah, like in Dungeons and Dragons, to like make the Hex Blade Paladin, you have to like be 10th level to actually do anything cool.
Was this something the dungeon dudes taught you?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
Like your character's lame and trash for
Sure.
the first
No, I get you.
9 levels.
You know, there's also something interesting about exploring a system that is less explored, right? Like, I mean, when I was playing Hearthstone and Slay the Spire came out, there was an interesting novelty to Slay the Spire because there weren't 100 million people making the perfect decks in it, and I could kind of figure out something that no one told me.
You kind of can't make good decks. Like.
Well, yeah, that's true as well. That's true. Because of the random outcome of the thing, like you're not. But you get what I'm saying, right? It was like, hey, to explore this thing, there's only like 100-something people looking at this game. I'm not going to be told every other week what the best thing I should be doing is, and then every time I'm playing the game, I'm going to be seeing the best thing because it's just whooping my butt week after week, right? So, there's some of that. I guess that might be to a Dragonbane thing. Let me see what people are. Okay, so Zero Prep Games, I already mentioned that. Okay. Flick Tack, Flack Attack mentioned that you making Hex Crawl is a good deal. Let's see. Content Surprise says he does a lot of prep early and find places later to add the stuff that he didn't get that didn't get used earlier. Interesting. He says he loves to save things for future campaigns. That's a good idea. He says, yeah, okay. John says, yeah, Hex Crawls are not my first time remove. It can be a lot of work. And yeah, so I thought initially when you were making a dungeon, you were like making a dungeon, and I didn't know that we would be starting necessarily in the Hex Crawl, but then when you made the Hex Crawl and we started, I was like, okay, let's just see what happens, right?
Yeah.
But if you have a dungeon ready, you could just pop us in it, you know, hey, you've arrived. Welcome to the dungeon.
Dungeon.
Okay, I thought you made a dungeon too. I thought this was the first thing you made. Okay, so you made a Hex Crawl first.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I didn't understand that.
Giant Hex.
I got you, okay. Let's see. Gary says his game is a Hex dungeon crawler. He writes some of it, but others he rolls. Okay. Flick Tack says he'd sign up for that game.
Most of it, and I rolled almost nothing.
You said what?
I kind of made most of it and rolled very little. I had the starting rolls, and I based a lot of stuff off that. But it was kind of.
So when we encountered your witch, so your witch is in the house, and we had come up with the surprise on your witch because she's just doing her crazy stuff with the cauldron, right? And so we make a plan to come interact with your witch and to like gang up on her.
Yeah.
And our plan was pretty sound. Like, I'm gonna cast Hold Person. She gets no turns.
It was
my friends. No. I know. Okay, I know. Why did it upset you that we planned to kill one of your things?
Well, because I thought she was like interesting, and I thought she might be hard and like beat you up and stuff.
Okay.
And then she just got trounced instantly.
Sure. And so it bummed you out that she didn't get to kill one of us.
Pretty much.
Or make a dire situation. So that's one of those things that we mentioned earlier. Like, playing a Dungeon Master is you trying to figure out what your players want. And in that situation, the thing we wanted was a restrained witch that we could like beat and torture and figure out what was going on in this mushroom town, right?
She's not the kind of person who's just gonna tell you her whole wicked plot.
I know, right? Well, so we came up with a cunning way to get her to tell us. You still were upset, and you kept trying to make it so that she was death touching us, even though we broke her arms, we dislocated her, like we did all this stuff to undo her ability to do that. And you were like, she's all better, okay? And then we're like, what are we supposed to do? Okay, so in the future, how can you make it so that that thing in you that wants to war game against us doesn't fire off?
Make them more powerful.
Okay, so the only way to do it would be to play in Dragonbane and just throw constant dragons at us.
Throw 20th level of Ancient Dragon.
So, all right, if you want to do that, I'm willing to play in that system with you. I think what it's called is we learn, because people keep suggesting it over and over. People keep suggesting that we learn Pathfinder 2nd Edition, okay? And from what I understand, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong in my assessment of Pathfinder 2nd Edition. It is a crunchy system, like a super crunchy system, just like Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. What is wrong with you? Why can't you just be here and not do this? Pathfinder 2nd Edition is like Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition, but the systems that allow the Dungeon Master to manage monsters that are a comparable challenge rating for the party and appropriate for the party, it's easier. Does that make sense? Like, it's easier in Pathfinder for the Dungeon Master to establish a proper difficulty challenge in the game system. And so my thought is, if he wants to play us like a war gamer, then we could play in Pathfinder 2nd Edition. I mean, like, it wasn't even close to on my list, but if that's what you're saying you would need to do to DM,
that'd be good with me. I'd
okay, so something where you basically get to play, like, so for example, it would be like us playing the Star Wars Imperial Assault game, but you always get to play as Empire.
I guess that'd be fine.
Then why don't we just do that?
Why don't we just do that?
No, is that the thing? Like,
I'd be fine with doing that.
But I thought you wanted to be a dungeon master. A little bit. Like, I thought that you kind of wanted to learn how to do this.
I guess.
You understand those are two different things, right?
Yeah.
One of them is playing a board game. Like, because we could do it with Mansions of Madness. We could do it with Imperial Assault. I have another one. We have Descent, and then I think Gloomhaven is all just co-op. Anyway, so I think I have a few different types of these that we could play. But I get the idea that you're interested in doing the creative part. Like you just said, you wanted to do the creative part.
The Dungeon Master creative part is fun. Yeah. It's just, like, more difficult.
Explain.
Because, like, if we played just like this Star Wars Imperial Assault, it would just be like, I can choose whatever most tactical.
Yeah, and you should. You probably should choose the best tactical thing, like if you want to win.
I wouldn't choose,
right?
like, to move my guy into a place where you just shoot him and he's dead.
Sure, and when I play, I do that type of thing because I don't really care. Right? Like, I'm not trying to be dumb, but I'm also trying to make the game fun for the other people. Right? Like, I mean, you remember playing Star Wars Imperial Assault, and there were times where I'd move a person, and you're like, that's dumb. That's a bad decision. But I'm like, I'm not actually. Sometimes I'm kind of trying to win, but most of the time not.
Yeah, and I'd probably try and win. So you
totally okay.
You have to play your hardest.
Sure, we have to play hard. But you don't get to be creative. So which is it? Which do you want to be? Do you want the board game version?
Like both. Like, I feel like war games are probably more my thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. No, I mean, like,
no, definitely. Like,
sure.
Not
okay.
Probably. It's like definitely war games are my thing.
I'm gonna put a pin in that for a moment, and not to reserve it, but I'm gonna put a pin in that to deflate it. You've tried one war game. One-page rules we didn't learn well enough to decide whether we liked it or not. Like, that's why I'm interested in trying to learn the Kill Team game. You've played one war game, and you've played 3 tabletop RPGs.
Yeah, I still like Dragonbane is probably one of my favorite role-playing systems because it's like the best of like a mix of both worlds.
Okay, I can understand that.
I get the word game stuff and the role-playing stuff.
Okay.
Where I can be creative and say I'm gonna like grab this and smash this on this guy's head.
But as I mentioned to you before about Dragonbane, it's one of those games similar to Shadow Dark where you can paint yourself into a corner by not knowing exactly how powerful your players are, and you might do it to the point where you go, yeah, they can handle 30 guys. You know what I mean? Like, and then you're like, they
get swept or or the players get destroyed.
Right. And you're like,
it's better for the monsters to get destroyed and then the reinforcements can come.
Sure. But when we played Dragonbane that last weekend, you saw what happened like when I just kept spawning too many guys. Right? Like eventually you guys got beaten, and then it didn't really feel good that you got beaten. Or am I wrong? You were fine with the way you guys died? You died heroic?
I didn't die.
You got eaten by a dragon, and then I retconned it because I wasn't sure what to do with it.
I'm still alive, and my club got upgraded.
Okay, you're right.
I didn't die. I got upgraded.
Hang on, let me see if we've gotten any suggestions to help us make good decisions here, or maybe settle some stuff. Let's see. Argus says OSR Shadow Dark for me is great because the DM gets to react instead of feeding content to the players. Let me see. The DM gets to react instead of feeding content to the players. That's true. I suppose if you're going with the hex crawl route, but I guess you could play Shadow Dark in, like, for example, the Waterdeep Dragon Heist.
Yeah.
It wouldn't necessarily be fun. You could make that happen, make that transition, in which case you'd then be feeding content to the players. But I think that's some of my issue with Shadow Dark is there is not a setting. Like there's a really vague lore. Like it's even more vague of a lore than like, let's say, Dark Souls.
D&D actually has more lore.
So yeah, no, I mean, okay, and I think that's part of the charm of Shadow Dark and why I like it, because the lore is caught up in like these 4 separate cursed scrolls and then some of the monster flavor text, but otherwise it's pretty much like a setting agnostic game, aside from the fact that like everything's punishing, goblins are supposed to be mean, spiders are supposed to be bloodthirsty, right? It's supposed to be that kind of game, but it doesn't really tell you you can't play Conan. You could play He-Man in it if you want, right? Just make everything, look, you're He-Man, right?
And then your
space lasers, yeah.
And then your character doesn't work because you're not powerful.
Okay, but you
get destroyed by a spider.
Right, but it doesn't really have a setting tied to, right? And what I mean by this is like Shadow Dark does not have a setting in so much as the way it's like, okay, if Dungeons and Dragons doesn't really have a great setting for it as well. Some systems, when you're creating a certain class of character, it requires you to be a certain race of character. Okay, so like once you pick that class of character, you have to tie it to like one of a few races. As far as I know, in the early versions of Dungeons and Dragons, if you wanted to be like a wizard, for example, you could pick like human and elf and maybe like one other race. I'm talking about like older. Okay, you guys can tell me if I'm wrong, but if I'm not wrong about, or if I am wrong about D&D, you guys can think of some other setting where, or some other game system where it's like that, where it's like, hey, you want to pick a ranger, you've got to pick one of these races or something, right? Like you can't be a ranger and also be an orc or whatever, a half orc or a whatever. So in Shadow Dark, anyone can be anything, so much to the point that you can randomly create your character, and the same with Dragonbane, right? Like if in Dragonbane you had to be a mallard in order to be a scholar, there would be something interesting about making mallards. You know what I mean?
I guess.
Like if only mallards could be scholars, when you met a mallard, you knew who you were talking. Any NPC in the world would be like, oh, it's a scholar. Oh, welcome, good scholar, right? Like, but because
mallard's actually a secret assassin dressed as a scholar, he stabs you and you're dead.
You're stupid. Okay, but okay, thanks for derailing my point, but you get my point, right?
Yeah.
If you're playing in a system where anyone can be anything regardless of who they are and why they're that thing, then it doesn't matter that anyone is anything, right? Like when you encounter
but then everyone would just say, oh, I'm not going to be a mallard and I'm a scholar.
Okay.
People would just decide that.
Okay, sure, fine, and that's fine to do. If people want to homebrew that, okay, fine. But in this case, right now in Dragonbane, if I were to implement that thing, you players might take it as some form of punishment, right?
Well, I don't care about the scholar.
But you get what I mean. Let's say I said the only people who can be blacksmiths in my world are the wolf, whatever, okay?
Wolfkin.
The wolfkin, right? Only people who can be blacksmiths.
That wouldn't make sense. Dwarves
Okay.
should be the blacksmith.
That doesn't matter. It's my rule. I'm sorry. Dwarves can't be blacksmiths. Let's say I did that. Okay. So you think it's lame, but the point is, in systems where there's that kind of customization to a character build, what you're going to get is people playing their characters in the world, and they know who they are, and the NPCs know who they are based on what they see, right? Like it's helpful for NPCs and players to have preconceived notions about situations. Hey,
so I guess then like people might like dress up as a mallard and like disguise themselves.
Okay, or a different example. Let's say you're playing in a world where dwarves are generally always craftsmen, because it's locked in that way. You encounter 4 dwarves.
Probably craftsmen.
They're probably craftsmen, right? Hey, you racist. Okay, but the thing is, there's actually benefits to that in a game system, right? Like there's benefits to having that sort of prejudice in a game system, because when you encounter 4 elves in a world where elves can only be rangers, wizards, or whatever, one of the fighters or something like that, you go, I'm either dealing with a wizard, a fighter, or whatever the other one I just said was, right?
They're not wearing armor, and they have a scroll.
There you go, right? Okay.
A wizard.
Yes, right. You can't know that in Shadow Dark, right? When you encounter a human, it doesn't tell you anything about that human.
Yeah, no.
Okay? And I think there is actually some benefit to leaning into the weirdness of a system. Once again, why I'm so interested in WildSea. I think there's something about designing
What's that?
Can't
Can't anyone be anything in WildSea?
It's such an interesting character building game. It is hard for me to precisely articulate the way the character building works.
Can't anyone be anything?
No, not anyone can be anything. By the time you finish the character build, you're going to have a character that is probably unique in such a way that no one else. Okay, remember, we did the math on it.
But anyone can be anything.
Yeah, but not everyone's going to make the same thing.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so yes, two different people could custom make their character exactly the same if they wanted to do that. There's no one stopping you from doing that.
Yeah.
You can make Robert's same character, and you guys can just play next to each other, and he says he's doing a thing, and you go, but I'm going to do it better. Okay? You could just, sure, if you want to play that. That's not the point, I think. All right, I missed a few things because I got distracted talking about Argus's thing. All right, and I mean, that's helpful because it got me to rant about something I was thinking about. But I know what you mean, Argus. I get it. I just all right. So hold on. Especially for longer campaigns, the first sessions are a content shotgun to see what sticks. Then letting the players guide the action. I agree with that, and I think that's another reason why I like the Wild Sea game setting so much. Now that I'm playing Shadowdark, my characters come out of a dungeon. And I gotta go, where are you going, right? Like I have to kind of figure it out between sessions. So they come out of a dungeon, are you guys going north, south, west? You know, there's some stuff I need to randomly prepare, and there's some stuff I need to prepare, because they could say, we're gonna go try and dig up the bones of the lost Queen of Charn, and I'm like, I don't know what that happens if you do that, right? So, and I don't wanna end up in that place where you were at today, where players are doing a weird thing, and I'm making all of it up on the spot, because there is some aspect of making it up on the spot where it's like, there's a lot of pressure there. Even if you're doing it well, you're living in a space right at the edge of proper creativity, because proper creativity sometimes tips over the edge and then goes, ooh, too far, bring it back a little bit, right? It's hard to do once you've already voiced it out loud, but much easier to do like when you're writing and you kind of go,
that makes no sense, erase it.
There you go, right? But what happens when you're playing in real time with someone and you're trying to create that thing?
It doesn't really work.
Right, but if you already know that when they finally undig the lost Queen of Charn's bones, it resurrects her because it was all a trick or whatever, then it's like, okay, cool, I know what happens now. And
I throw her in her cauldron and curb stomp her.
Okay, thanks, Quandale Dingle. You're doing a great job here. But I get what you mean, Argus. Argus. Let's see. Content Surprise says, darn people maximizing the fun out of things. That's right. This guy right here. Got to min-max everything. Satori says, hey, y'all, congrats on joining the DM club. See, people are being encouraging. They're saying good job, right? Like, okay, and I'm saying it too. You did a good job for trying it. I don't think...
try it again.
Okay, good.
Yeah, maybe if Robert... I kind of want to... Maybe on Friday if Robert came over we could play, or...
Sure.
Or we could just... I'd kind of want to play Imperial Assault with Robert.
I shouldn't have mentioned it.
Like you're the bad guy. Actually, I kind of want to be the bad guy. Okay,
what I would recommend is you looking at the Dragonbane starter box and looking at the opening adventure.
I don't want to...
No. Look. You don't run it by the book. Okay. You read it. You read the first, section of it, okay? Get an idea for what's going on, and then you adjust it. You make it your own. Of course you make it your own. You get creative with it, but you use it as a template, right?
Okay.
You open up that adventure manual, you look at the map, you see what's going on, you look around situationally, what's happening here.
If I were to run it again, I just want to run it in the same campaign and prepare a little more.
You want to run it in the same campaign and prepare a little more, okay? But you want to switch it to Dragonbane. Because you already said you're more interested in Dragonbane.
Well, I probably just continue in Shadowdark because...
Okay.
I just need to prepare. I just need to know you have hold person and
See, he's gonna metagame around the fact that I have hold person.
You said to lean into the fact that you have hold person. So what I'll do is maybe I'll put one big bad guy, and maybe he has some high. He has a resistance to it or something like.
But it only works on people level 4 or under.
Oh, okay.
So if this witch was level 5, you shouldn't have let it work.
No, she was about level 3.
Okay, all right. Hang on, let me keep going. See, that happens to pro GMs too. They just hide it. I'm assuming because I get so far behind on these things. I'm assuming we're talking about making mistakes as a GM. It's actually more like, okay, so this is probably Pathfinder. It's actually more like D&D 3.5 edition, which was originally crunchy. So while, okay, Pathfinder 2e is technically a 5e replacement game, they wouldn't really say it's really anything like 5e, more like 3.7. Interesting. Okay. He would probably love the heck out of it. You can write stuff and create worlds from for others to DM. Maybe that might be fun. I actually had that thought. You know, you could help me run this campaign by writing things out, and then I would run it. You know, so long as you could try and play as though you don't know what's coming, and I could spice it up a little bit more.
Fun. Okay. Solden's gonna come murder some people.
No, you can't do that. You can't.
Right.
You can't do that.
That's all I write is about a Solden.
Now he's just gonna ruin my Saturday night game by wargaming against everyone.
I'm not gonna ruin it.
Okay.
A Solden's gonna go burn everything.
Stacy's right. Agile Monk says probably because the standard start, middle, end approach to their system. Oh, okay, I'm guessing that's regarding the Dungeons and Dragons campaign, the Waterdeep Dragon Heist, whatever. Let's see. John says play one-page rules firefight. It's Kill Team, and OPR is one of his favorite fantasy war games. Okay, John. Find me on Discord. Message me. I would love for you to teach me how to play one-page rules.
I was so confused.
We were both pretty confused. Let me try and bring up my Discord so you can just copy my handle.
Just tell him.
I don't remember what it's called. Hang on. Let me bring it up. Jacob,
Can I,
in just a second.
Draw or something right now?
Okay, look, if you want to paint, you can paint. Go ahead, just paint something, okay? I'm gonna keep chatting.
I want to draw.
You want to draw? Okay, go get a book. Go get a thing. Stop fidgeting. Go draw. It's fine.
Wait, what should I draw, everyone?
Oh, do me a favor. Go get a piece of paper downstairs from the printer, and also bring up the Dragonbane starter box, and I will look at the adventure right now. You can look at the adventure. You know what? You go do that.
No, I want to draw.
Just grab it. Look at the first 3 pages of it, okay? All right, let me find the me and John. Oh, you already got it? Okay, cool. Hold on. If you're one of the people that I've already talked to, I'm sorry I haven't come to remember your name on YouTube. Now I got my KVM in the wrong place. Okay. Oh, right, there we go. Okay. Oh, okay. I got you here. Perfect. Okay. There, I'm waving back to you. Cool, thank you, John. Yeah, I had a problem with the one-page rule systems, like, for 2 reasons. I didn't like that they universally had all the skirmish game rules kind of overlaid on the army game rules, because there was a distinguishment that I had to make between a unit doing something and a model doing something, and it was just confusing. What are you doing?
I'm reading this chat.
Oh, you're standing over my shoulder. I'm like, okay. Anyways, so yeah, and some of it was also the keywords. It was a little keyword heavy, but have you played Kill Team and you like it better than Kill Team? And then I guess my second question would be, have you played Kill Team 2024? Let me know. All right, way back here somewhere. Let's see, Firefight Kill Team. Okay, you can help us learn it. Argus says, okay, being a GM means you're controlling the people who are trying to kill your players while also rooting for your players to win. You don't get to want to win, and that's the best part. I think it's a really good summary of exactly what you're doing.
One question. Where is that green pencil?
The green pencil. Oh, your fancy pencil? I don't know. I think I put them all in front of the Doctor Strange house.
Yeah, I found it.
Okay. Sean Anderson says he feels like Shadow Dark is more of a game engine than a setting. You really can put it anywhere you want. I agree. That is an accurate description of what that thing is. I was actually watching a video today on YouTube where a dude was talking about tabletop RPGs within the framework or explanation. He was like holding them in a game engine like parallel, and I thought that was a really good way of explaining tabletop RPG systems by like relating them to video game engines or video game code and stuff. So yeah, I would agree with that. And despite it having some light lore to it, it's real easy to reflavor the stuff. I just, let me think. I'm okay with building a setting in a tabletop RPG system and saying that wizards have to start in a prison, you know, like from Dragon Age or whatever. You guys are trapped in the wizard tower. I'm okay with doing that. And like, okay, your wizard has escaped from the wizard tower. But in some ways, that means I've limited the way my player is allowed to play their wizard, right? Like, because now in my world setting, that wizard might be hunted or something. Okay, so maybe I don't go that extreme. And I try and find some other way to work it out in my system, or in my setting. Okay, wizards, they have like, okay, in an army unit there has to be like one wizard or something, right? Like you try and find some place for the magic use in your world, and you try and find some significant systems to interact with each character's class. What are you staring at? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, I thought you were staring at my hand. If you try and do that too much, you create a world where like people, based on what they've made, they're interacting in maybe like an uphill battle, and that's something you created. And I don't know, there's an aspect to that where you're now creating systems that are interacting with some players and not other players. And let's say you do it for all the players. Well, now you're doing a significant amount of work in the world setting aspect of the game to try and encapsulate any possible player. Like all rangers come from this place, and all, you know, like so. If you don't do that, then you end up with what Shadow Dark has, where anyone is everything, or anyone can be anything, and everyone kind of stinks at everything that they do. And that makes it so like once, like what's the joke that we were saying, like you roll up a new character and it's like
oh, so what happens is the dragon flies overhead, breathes fire,
singes people,
like incinerates one character specifically.
Yes.
And then like out of the dragon's claw drops another character. Their back breaks, like, oh.
Okay.
Oh,
wait.
Hey.
But a new character spawns and goes, oh, you guys are fighting a dragon? Like,
oh yeah,
okay.
let me help.
Right. Or you finish up the fight and, you know, that person's just not in the game for a while. But, you know, Shadow Dark kind of leans into the zaniness of that by having a random character spawning method. And so my thought is like, I don't know, why not lean into it as opposed to having players be out? But at the same time, it's like, I don't know.
We have an unlimited supply of characters.
It just feels a little strange. Obviously, I probably wouldn't do that and like have it be where characters keep respawning in a fight over and over, like a constant gauntlet, right? It just makes it so that when someone makes a new character, like why would they make anything in particular, right? Like in the world setting, because it doesn't, like the thing they make doesn't place them anywhere in the world setting. I don't know if that makes sense.
Wait, I want.
Go ahead.
What should I draw?
Oh, you're gonna draw something right now?
Yeah.
You should draw a mech. You should draw a big mech made of flowers. A flower mech. I don't know. They can respond.
Yeah, let's see.
All right. He wants to know what you should draw. Let's see. Okay, I feel like Shadow Dark got that. Okay, the setting for Shadow Dark. Okay, the setting for Shadow Dark is just that: a world in shadows, dungeons to explore, and loot and dark magic afoot. I agree, and I have failed to run it accordingly. But I think you're right. It's a setting that should be run the way it should be run, and I'm not.
I think we generally like how you run it.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I think Lex is more happy that you gave her the spider than it snips off her hand as she tries to pet it.
Okay. Yeah, no, I get that sense too. I think people like, I don't know. I get the sense that I'm trying to read what you all are interested in, even if it's not necessarily what I'm interested in. Like I'm interested in playing Alien, right? I'm interested in playing Alien, and like, hey, there's a xenomorph hunting you guys. You're all dead, you know.
Yeah.
Like I'm interested. That would be fun for me to play. I don't get the sense that you guys are interested in that. So
probably not.
We keep going. Setting. Okay. In real early editions of D&D, some of the classes were a race. Okay, for example, halfling. Interesting. That's familiar, but I don't know if I actually knew that. Okay. Argus says elf was its own class in olden days. Okay, so that's like really old. And yeah, I wasn't playing then. I feel like I was playing in 3rd edition, and I thought for sure that there were classes that could only be played by certain races, but I could be wrong. And maybe I'm thinking of a different system too. John says, but Rules Light want theater of the mind, so it usually works well with people that can make great stories.
TSL Frontman. So, opinions on agnostic systems. All right. Are systems better when they can do anything, even if they're written in a certain style or motif? Like, I'm gonna have to read this a second time. It's a good question. Let me see. Some games like Morkborg are loudly their own flavor. Interesting. Okay. So, opinions on agnostic systems. Yeah, I've been thinking about the agnostic systems a lot. I like the agnostic systems in war games. I think I do. I think I like agnostic systems in war games. I'm not sure if I like them in tabletop RPGs. I've only experienced the agnostic systems like a couple times, right? Like I've played a little bit, not played a little bit. I made some characters. No. Gary, what have we done so far in Savage Worlds? We have looked at character creation, and we have looked at the power setup, and then we've looked at some of the settings things. From what I've looked at of Savage Worlds, Dragonbane, Dungeons and Dragons, Shadow Dark, Morkborg,
The Pirate Board.
Sorry, Pirate Borg, and maybe a couple of the systems, I've gotten the sense that the setting agnostic system, it's a good safe bet. You know, and let me see if I can explain what I mean by that. Like let's say, okay, so let's say you're trying to find your forever system, right? You're trying to find a system that you are happy playing in like all the time. And, you know, you don't necessarily want to jump from a fantasy system to a sci-fi system to a cyberpunk system. The setting agnostic system is probably the best system to go for you, especially if you want to really like bed down in this. Like I think Gary is a good example of this. Like Gary has found his forever system, the system he likes playing in, and he's established, you know, a bunch of different modules or compendiums to allow him to be able to jump setting or to jump more than just setting, because it's like the entire fantasy experience, go from sci-fi to western, you know, like I guess that's setting, but I mean it even more like broadly than that, like way off in setting, you know, like steampunk or Victorian, okay, or those are kind of similar. Anyways, and I think it's a good thing if you think you're someone who wants to jump settings a lot or often. Probably best to find an agnostic system. I think I might be someone who wants to find like 2 or 3 different systems I like and maybe stick with them. Or maybe I want to try and find a system that appeals to this group of players. But at the same time, I'm kind of still curious about how a bunch of different systems work. Like like I just mentioned, like 5 or 6 maybe systems at most that I've kind of had a chance to look at. And I've got some sense that I like some better than others. I think for me, I prefer the non-system agnostic setting because the system agnostic setting, am I saying that right? The setting agnostic system. There, I'm saying it wrong. The setting agnostic system, to me, does a worse job of grounding the player in the world. Yes, that's what I mean. And those might be fighting words, you know, like I'm not meaning that in like a those might be fighting words way, but okay. All right, I'm gonna have to grab the Wild Sea book to take a look at it to explain what I mean. Hold on, I'll be right back. Okay. I know I'm going to explain this in a moment. This is TSL Frontman's question. Okay. Argus says DMs are usually avid world builders. Short campaign primers can establish the uniqueness of a setting you're talking about. DMs are usually avid world builders. Okay, got that. Short campaign primers can establish the uniqueness of the setting you're talking about. That's a really good point. So, do you understand what he just said?
Nope.
Okay. Let's see. So, what I'm getting from that is go small, because in the like let's say you start with like you guys are trying to escape from prison, right?
Okay.
Within the prison, you have a very, very narrow focus. You as the DM, all you have to do is work on this one prison, one place, okay? No, you don't. Let's say it's a hospital. and all the players wake up in the hospital with none of their stuff, and they're tied up or something that they can't find anyone, right? Oh, it's a mystery. What's going on in this world, okay? But you as the DM, all you have to work on is like this hospital or prison, whichever, okay? And while you're doing it, you're going, you know, maybe there's like a little bit of technology here, right? There's some automatic doors. And so we as the players are going like, ooh, automatic doors. That's interesting. They got some magic or some steampunk or something, right? And then you get to establish none of the other prisoners are here or whatever. Ooh, okay, right? And so then we go, well, what's going on? And maybe when we get outside the prison, we find out that like it's the zombie apocalypse or something, right? Like there's something going on in the world. But all you had to do is really establish the prison, and it would help you kind of figure out how to make a broad movement outward from a narrow focus. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I guess. So you want to start small, and then it sort of plays itself.
Right. No, exactly. Like, so imagine, let's see. Imagine you start us just in a dungeon underneath the dragon, right? Like we found the dragon, and then we found like a building underneath him, and we're just in that room, and you don't really have to establish the witch or the town or the cool tree with the fairies, because that's where you struggled, right? You didn't really know how to run the fairies quite right?
Yeah.
And you didn't really know how to run the witch quite right, or the mushroom people. So you had all these really interesting, unique fantasy ideas, but running them all individually was more than you knew how to do, because you didn't really have an establishment for economies or the social network, or like what do these fairies do in the world. But if you start in like one small thing, after that first game, you can start your brain running to think about the rest of the stuff going on. You understand?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, all right, cool. I think that's a really good point, Argus. Thank you. Let's see. John says he used to be a massive Warhammer fan, and he stepped away for lots of reasons. He's played a handful of games from the latest Kill Team, which he thinks is solid, but he just won't buy into Warhammer. I understand that. I have my issues with Warhammer as well. I did get the newest Kill Team, but
You wanted to try it because it's multiplayer?
So yeah, I went and picked up the new Hive Storm bundle for two reasons. I don't have a lot of good generic terrain, and it comes with a lot of like just good generic building terrain, and so that's helpful. Like we often need terrain, and I find most of the time I don't make the time to put cardboard stuff together. I had a whole collection of things downstairs, and I just don't think I'm like a black magic craft type guy. Like that dude, I see the stuff he makes, and I really want to be that guy. Like I really want to be like taking coffee cans and goring them out, and like using my pit saw, and like, but I don't think I have that kind of time or something. You know, like I have too many other things.
You don't make that kind of time.
I'm spending too much time doing other things I find more important, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know, hanging out with you and your brother and learning new game systems or something, right? Like so. Okay, so that's one reason. But the other thing is like they made a package of the thing I've been saying I want companies to make, a tabletop war game that actually has a cooperative or multiplayer version in it. And so even though I don't like Games Workshop, I kind of wanted to find myself to be wrong about them. Like I wanted to go, you know what? They actually made a perfect box set that has all the things you need to get your game going, and it teaches you how to teach a friend how to play. Because like if I can get this and get it running and get my friend Steven to play a war game, and it's not too complicated for him because we can play co-op, you know, I'd be kind of remiss if I just, you know, I don't know. I'm probably convincing myself of something that is false, but I get your point. Let's see. He says he prefers one-page rules for Warhammer needs, and then he plays some other war games, enjoys mostly historical ones. I reached out to a company that makes a tank game. I can't remember the name of it. Flames of War? Might be Flames of War. So I might be getting a Flames of War box set and you know, trying to learn how to play that, and you know, like review it. We're not reviewing things, but figuring out who it's for, right? Who likes it? What kids would like it? So I'm looking forward to learning new war game systems. Let's see. Dark things don't always have to be harmful. Kind of never-ending story. Some things about dark themes. I like the never-ending story themes of dark. Morkborg is an agnostic system due to the large library of games. And I've enjoyed playing Morkborg. I think some of the flavor comes up in a lot of the random tables. Like I've been playing the pirate version, and I think the random tables do a good job of establishing piratey stuff. Although I haven't messed with the Cyberpunk one. That's probably, if I was going to get a Morkborg game, I probably would get the Cyberborg one, just to get a feel of a cyberpunk setting. Let's see. Borg has an office board game. I did not know there was an office board game. Or Orc Borg, where you play as orcs and pirates, of course. All right. Gary says, I'm right. We've only just begun to look at the system. Okay. Yeah, that's right. Pretty sure I don't agree with your confusion. Let's see. I'm pretty sure I don't agree with your confusion. Okay. What do you mean? I'm sure I'm getting something wrong about it. At least if we're talking about setting agnostic games, like, since I haven't established myself in a setting agnostic game, I'm sure I'm not understanding them fully. Okay, that's the reason John fell in love with the Morkborg. One of the biggest collections. Okay, primary one setting. Okay, so I primarily only run one setting, but I have 4 other GMs that run their setting. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about that. Maybe we can talk about this if we get time to chat tomorrow night. I can probably pick your brain some more, Gary. But, like, would you play Savage Worlds, Cyborg, Western, or whatever? Like, is the reason you like Savage Worlds, like, do you like it because you can jump settings or something? Or do you just really like the system? I guess that'd be the question I have. Scott says he's getting a World War I Morkborg game when it comes out. Interesting. I didn't know there was one.
It's coming out.
Yeah, no, I didn't know there was one coming out. Right. We all want to be that guy. Those guys just insane with talent. Let's see. Got his dad into Flames of War. That's the game. Let's see. That's the game I'm playing now for World War II games. Okay, so Flames of War sounds like it's good. Okay. Cyborg, great game. Cyborg is honestly fantastic. With all the board games, you can get plenty of third-party add-ons for free or rather cheap. Really? Interesting. A campaign primer is a very brief document or note to set player expectations and what makes this campaign different, including limiting players' options, etc. All right, so he says he would love to send me a recent one on Discord just to skim to see players' options and guilds. Yeah, I would love to see that. Yes, if you have my Discord. If you don't have my Discord, let me switch this over to my Discord. Let's see, family tabletop. Go down, Jacob. Oh, that's confusing.
What?
Less confusing. All right, I'm gonna go with the confusing one, and I'm gonna turn. Oh, all right. If I adjust it, it messes with it. Okay. I know it's confusing. Sorry about that, but yeah, there we go. Family tabletop. Oh, I'm in streamer mode right now. All right, streamer mode means that they can't read my thing. There we go. Okay, all right. Anxiety-free games. Skip the A in games. So yeah, send me a whatever, like a message, and then yeah. Let's see. Gary says he wanted a system that was capable of jumping settings without relearning a whole new game. Okay, and I think you said that better than what I was trying to say, but I think that's kind of what I was trying to say. Okay, yeah, I think we are in agreement about that, and I think, Argus, I'm gonna assume you have that because I'm gonna switch the camera back. Let me know if you didn't get it or if you need it again. I think so. I'm looking at this Wild Sea game. And I think I find this really interesting. I find it really interesting from a dungeon master perspective in a way that, like, I hadn't really considered when, like, okay, so sometimes we have this problem with, like, our party splitting, right? Someone wants to go here, someone wants to go here. And Wild Sea sort of solves that issue by putting all the players on a boat. But you're on a boat like in this weird apocalypse. But you're on a boat in this weird apocalypse and bad stuff is happening, so you're trying to go from, like, port to port and stay safe. So, like, right away, you have a system where the setting has created the parameters of how the players will play in the game. And I think that's interesting right away. But then on top of that, you have a really interesting character creation system that helps it, like, that makes it so that players are going to design things that narrate a little bit how they're playing, and as well, like, from the point of character creation, you're going to have characters that are designed unique. which means that their roles on the ship are going to be a little bit predefined based on how they've designed their character. So I mean, like you have these 7 races. I'm trying to go back to the character creation thing. No, 7. I'm gonna count them. Hang on. There's the Ardent, which are like human. Okay, they're called bloodlines. So you have Ardent, Ectus, Gao, Ironborn, Ketra, Mothra, and that's a name I can't pronounce. It's Zealotkree. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7. So you have 7 bloodlines. And within these things, you're like a cactus person, or a human, or a person who's part like destroyed boat, right? Like they have like the heart of a ship in them. They're ironbound. Or you have what was the Ketra again? Ketra were the squid people, right? Or you're a moth person or a bug or whatever, okay? And then on top of that, you have an origin, like where you came from. You could be a ghost. You could be rootless. Each time you're picking one of these things, you're picking 2 like skills. They're called aspects, and they come from it. So you might have a character who's like good with crossbows and like hand crossbows because they're like a human, right? So like you can see like along the way you're creating this very unique character who someone would have to like look at your character to copy them to accidentally come up with the thing. Like you couldn't do it by accident, right? Because as someone's going through here, it'd be pretty hard to do it by accident, especially on the same boat. Right?
Oh no, on the same boat.
On the same boat, like it'd be nearly impossible for 2 people to.
Unless you have like 20,000 people in your game.
Okay, right. So it'd be nearly impossible in the same game to have 2 people who are taking on the fighter role, because the fighter role is such a strange, diverse thing, where like you picked a human, then you picked a ridgeback human, and then you picked a post, and there's 17 different posts, and this is kind of like your class in the game. So by the time you get to picking your alchemist, you've designed a cactus person who is who's amber infused, and they're an alchemist. And so at that point, they're a very unique alchemist, and they're going to be different than any other alchemists on your ship, especially if one of your other alchemists is the squid person who comes from like a rootless background or whatever. And each person along the way is picking skills that are unique to that thing. So like right off the bat, you're making a ship full of player characters who are all going to be different, and they're all naturally going to be playing the game differently. Like that's very easy for a dungeon master to go in, because like I don't know, right off it reads to me as a system where the setting has created player classes or roles, but they're all still very unique, right? I don't know. I find it interesting. I haven't finished going through it, so I can't talk about like, oh, here's this class or this class in it. It's just very interesting to the point where I'm like, I would like to run this, because like the story kind of writes itself, right? Like you guys are on a ship traveling across this giant ocean of trees, and you're trying to find dry land, you know, like Waterworld basically. Like, where's dry land? And then you guys find it, but you find out that there's like a strange cult of like, I don't know, some moth-eating people, and you got like a moth person on your ship, and you got to go like, we can't hang out here, right? Next place. And then like pirates come and attack your ship, or your ship is traveling, something tears through the side of your hull. You guys are like in an emergency situation, as like some monster from the depths has tried to pull your ship underneath. Pirates are catching up to you. You take over their ship. You leave your ship. You got like a Star Trek 3 situation. Like the stories just kind of write themselves because you're in a dangerous world setting. And I know you can have the same thing happen in like a Shadow Dark game or like a game where you're on a hex crawl. But like, I don't know, there's that thing that keeps happening where they come out of the dungeon and I go like, where are you guys going? Like we have to have kind of an out of matrix, like a meta moment where I'm asking the players, what do you guys do next, right? To get an idea where they're going. We could solve this by playing a random encounter generation game where everything's random and my players know that stuff is random. I don't know. There's just something about the idea of them all being tied to the ship that seems like I wouldn't get as many situations where like Marshall's running back to town with something and someone else is going down in the dungeon by themselves or ahead. I don't know. It's just, it feels like there's something about that system, the setting that benefits the system, if that makes sense. All right, missed some things. Satori, okay, Stephanie Plays Games did an episode about campaign primers. Let me find my note cards, excuse me. Stephanie plays games. I had a pen around here somewhere. There it is. Thank you, Satori. Let me write that down. One of these things is blank. Stephanie plays games. Oh, I think I know her. I think I know her channel. Hang on. Maybe not. No, I'm thinking of a different one. Stephanie plays games. Primers. Campaign primers. You're shaking the whole desk. Are you erasing or you're just moving? Okay, sorry. Primers. Campaign primers. Thank you. All right, let's see. Do I think Mork Borg fits that or not? For me, you do. Okay, so do you think Mork Borg fits that or not? Okay, for you it does, but you can understand if it didn't. What do you mean fits that? Fits that in relation to what? I'm trying to remember what I said at that time. Oh, maybe we were talking about systems where there's something unique or whatever. I actually, regardless, I haven't actually tried Mork Borg specifically. I've tried the Pirate Borg. That's it, actually. All right, let's see. Wolf. Oh, give us the Discord. Wolfwood. Oh, I mean, yeah, the Discord's. So I have the Discord set up. I mean, whatever. You're welcome to join it. I don't know how. Okay, I will make a thing where I connect it to YouTube. I'll try and do that this week. So I'll try and connect the Discord channel to YouTube so you can click the link and get an invite or whatever. I will learn how to do that. I'm gonna need to have people like offer to be moderators or something because like I don't know crap about running a Discord. So if there's people who are like interested in doing that, I'm totally open to it. I kind of want to set up a rules. I don't want it to be like too strict on rules. Like I want people at least offering their thoughts and their criticism in a helpful way, but I also want there to be encouragement, you know, like, cause I get the idea there's a lot of DMs in here and it can be a pretty salty world for DMs, you know, being told that they're DMing their game all the time wrong. So, yeah, that's it. But yeah, I will get that set up this week. Let's see. Oh, Scott says he loves Wild Sea. It is great as a DM, but hard to create characters. Tell me a little bit more about that. What do you mean by hard to create characters? Because I got the sense, at least from what I looked at so far, that it might be fun to create characters, but
it'll probably take a while.
Okay, yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Since you huh?
Well, because you have to read all.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, okay. So it might be a game system. Okay, now that you've said that, it totally makes sense that it's a hard game for players to create characters. Okay. I'll have to think about that more. Mothership is awesome to play. I played a space version of the King in Yellow mixed with Alien. How interesting. So it was like Cthulhu Alien. That sounds cool. I'm still trying to get Mothership. My local game store is sold out of it, and I don't think I've actually found a place that had it in stock.
Have the people sent you Alien yet?
No, that's being shipped out in October sometime.
Okay.
Yeah. All right, let's see. John says, also mentioned Aliens. Have you looked at Mothership? Okay, same idea, a little more indie OSR feeling, but definitely its own game. I've looked at Mothership only in the sense that I watched a couple videos on like someone explaining what they liked about it. It was a pretty quick video. It was like 3 or 4 minutes, but it sounded really interesting. Like it sounded like something I'm like, oh, I would love to check this out.
Have you emailed the company yet?
I have not. I got the idea that the company is like one small guy who's developing, and I've reached out to a few people like that. Oftentimes it's hard to get a hold of the people. But I would be interested in looking at it. And at the same time, I got like so many other people who are like, hey, sure, we'd love to send you a game and you take a look at it. Please make a video about it, or a few. And I'm like, yes. So that list is stacking up, and I'm like, I don't want to make
so many that you can't.
I don't want to get so far into it that I'm like I get behind and I just never get to someone's game. Like that feels bad. That doesn't. I don't want to take someone's thing and then not get to it. So I'm considering it important to actually make videos about all the things that we're looking at. Hang on. Problem with Wild Sea character. Okay, so okay, hang on. Oh, he sent his primer. It's pretty. Okay, let me see. Its primary goal was onboarding 5e players, so there's a lot of guidance for the shift. But I think the world and people headers sum up what you're talking about. Cool. Let me take a look at that. Let's see. Hold on. No, close you. Close you. Direct messages. Here we go. Message request. Accept. All right. And there's an attachment. Yes. Open file. Oh, cool! You got like pictures and stuff too. Is it okay if I bring this up on the whatever on? Is it okay if I bring this up on the screen? I don't want to like show your thing if this is like maybe this is something you're selling or whatever. Like, but if it's okay to show it, I'll pop it up on the screen and look through it right now. Let me know. Let's see. The problem with WildSea Character Creator, okay, is all the skills are available for all classes. There are too many choices. Okay. Yeah, maybe there's some way to make a, maybe there's some way to make, what am I trying to say? All right, maybe there's some way to make a skill tree system, which I'm guessing would probably be a lot of, I know, I already, it's the moment I said it, you're go ahead, then what?
Then it's just like, now
I'm mitigating the fun part about the game.
But then you're contradicting your own logic, you're like, oh, why not just play a new system if you have to homebrew it?
Fair enough. I'm trying to solve a problem that I just thought of, and the moment I solve the problem saying the word, see, this is the problem I have in DMing, unprepared, right? I just said something stupid, and then I immediately knew that it was stupid. Okay. Yeah, so, I'm not sure how to mitigate that, but that is something I'm like, I think I find this interesting. Like, I find something interesting about, a system that allows you to create a very unique character. But you're right, it's like, figure it out, idiot. Hard to do. Do you mind going to feed the cat for a quick moment? Because he's going to keep doing what he's doing until he gets food.
Quiet, Needles.
He's not, that's not going to work. He's not going to listen. Hang on, let's see. Let me go back here. Okay, so I did see that Argus said I can show it. Let me get to that in just a second. Let me finish reading. Okay, problem character. Okay, joke. All right, I joke when I say this, but you date yourself with what gets your excitement story-wise. I don't know what I said, but it was probably something nerdy, and yeah, I probably do that all the time. You know, I don't talk about like Star Trek or something. See, Scott, I think you'd enjoy. Okay.
Wait, is Lex asleep?
She is probably asleep. If the light's off, I assume she's asleep. What?
It's on.
Yeah, the light's on. I'll go check then.
Yeah, I might like take a break.
Okay, are you gonna? It's fine.
I might go watch Sherlock with her and like read.
Tomorrow, Tuesday or Wednesday?
Tuesday.
Oh, okay. It's 9:40, so don't be. That's fine. Okay, all right. You take off. Ugh. Okay, I'll jump to it in just a second, Argus. So, John, first off, tell me about your Cyberpunk TTRPG, and if you've already sent it to me, remind me what it is. Because I've had a few things sent to me and I'm still trying to organize my files and get to them. So, yeah, let me know what I'm interested to know what your Cyberpunk is, John. All right, let's see. Argus says the solution to dead air. What do you want to do now? That moment. Okay, so what you want to do now, moment, is to have more stuff out there that they want to do, right? Have 3 things available at all times for the players to choose and replenish. So. All right, yeah, I guess you'll probably be answering the question when I get to your whatever this thing's called, the primer. But I guess the question I would have is, that means you at least need to have 3 things prepared at all times, like in your mind, you know what those are, you can draw out the dungeon, you can hand them a map or whatever. All right, let's see, something to do for Shadow Dark. Yeah, no, hang on, I missed something about WildSea.
Oh, sorry.
I missed something about WildSea. What happened?
I accidentally dropped him.
You dropped who?
Needle is back.
You dropped Needles?
I didn't.
Dude, what do you drop Needles for?
Well, I was holding him and he slipped out of my hand.
Oh my god, can you just go get him food? Stop trying to. I think that cat is 19 years old.
I didn't. No, he's
Be
not.
nice to
He's
him.
14.
No, you're 14. He's like 5 years older than
No,
you.
he's 15 then.
Okay. All right, let's see. I missed the best part about WildSea. The game doesn't have to be combat focused. You can play as a food truck, bringing deliciousness to the whole world. That is true. I don't know if I would ever play it that way, but no, you're right. You can play a very, like, I mean, if you get the sense that your players are having a really good time collecting resources and building up their food truck business, then yeah, you can lean into that thing. I guess you can. No, you can't do that in Shadow Dark. Can you do that? I guess you can do that in any system, right? I mean, like that's. But Wild Sea seems to revel in the potential for you as a DM doing that type of thing. I got you. Let's see. The company who makes it has it in stock. No, hang on. I still missed another thing. Okay. Something that I do for Shadow Dark to stop the what do you want to do now is give a few rumors for them to choose from. Okay. Interesting. Company who makes it has it in stock. Okay. Yeah, send me a link to it so I can find what you're talking about if we're talking about the cyberpunk game that you were talking about, John. Let's see. Scott says he's so bad at DMing and makes so many mistakes, but as long as everyone has fun. Okay, cool. I can show it. All right, let me get to that then. Wrong mouse. Right mouse. Jacob, let me see if this stalls out when I turn off the wide camera. Oh, okay, we're good. All right. Let me move these things out of my way.
Onto my sketchbook.
You want your sketchbook back here? Are you going to go watch, or is Lex going to sleep or what?
Yeah, she says she's going to go to sleep.
Okay, all right. So then I'll finish up in the next 10 minutes, and then we can read, and you can get going to bed. Okay. Because you got like an early day tomorrow, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll try and finish up and
do something before I go to bed.
You DM'd a game today. It's kind of like you did something. Can you get your stuff out of my way so I can put this over here? You just got garbage everywhere.
Well, maybe like,
You keep thinking, okay? All right, so Argus says he made it for his friends, and if anyone else gets use out of it, makes him happy. All right, let's take a look at it then. John, I create games where I can create chaos, okay? John says, I have not sent it out to many people. He made a hero system, meaning the system has skill points, which you can do anything feasible in this world. Also has very deep lore to it. It's been in the works for years on and off. Oh well, Scott, you'd probably like my game then. Okay, the class ranges from media classes who speak on behalf of the GM, some ways to hackers, police. Yeah, John, send it to me, or send me like a link or something. If it's okay for me to look at it, I would be interested in taking a look at a system. I can't promise when I get looking at it though, but
you have a lot.
I do, but at the same time, I will at least look through it and see if it's something I can get quickly. And if it's something I can get to quickly or understand quickly, then I'm definitely gonna look at it faster. Okay, let me see what this thing is. I'm gonna increase the size of this if it allows me. Zoom. No, I didn't want to search. I wanted to zoom. Is there a zoom button here?
Go to the Discord.
Oh my goodness, full screen. Not quite what I wanted to do. All right, escape.
Go to the Discord webpage.
Hang on. Screenshot. No. All right. Come on. Oh, there we go. Plus. There we go. Okay, cool. One more. All right. Nice artwork. This is cool. All right. Outrider Company, an OSR campaign of exploration and teamwork. Okay, so the themes include teamwork, exploration, survival, community, realism, danger. The system is in Shadow Dark. All right, that's all very simple. Got it. All right. The core information, the setting. For over 600 years, the Holy Sarvoka Empire has ruled the civilized world in the lands of Turia, overtaking the Tarusian Empire before it and subsuming many kingdoms in its wake. Okay, so there's like a large dictatorship or a dominant force that's taken over this area. Its legions and missionaries expanded far outwards, spreading the divine message of the empire's gods and, of course, its authority. Okay, so new guys come to town, they bring all their religion and all their garbage, and they kind of are like, so everyone's kind of occupied. Okay, so it's a cool occupation story. 15 years ago, in 593 AI, wow, you went into this. You've got like the whole history. The entire continent of Turia was covered in a mysterious bitter fog that chilled the world for 18 months, ruining crops and killing untold thousands. The empire recalled its legions from the frontier and to the capital city, Prospero, and its environs, leaving hundreds of towns and cities abandoned to the wilds. Okay, so Empire freaks out at this fog that's going out, and they pull back all their forces to the city and let everyone else kind of die out in the wilds. Okay, got it. It's on the edge. Let's see. It is on the edge of this forsaken frontier. Your adventure begins in the last village before the barbaric wilds, Fairhavens. I think it's an interesting premise already. That's very cool. Let me see. Does this go Okay, so this goes one page, and this goes up here and continues on to here. Okay, so let me continue. Okay, so I think it's a cool idea for a setting. I like it. It's fun. All right, the Empire. We got different people. We have humanity, the engine of the Empire, adaptable, inventive, ambitious. Halflings, the champions of society, peaceable, polite, fashionable, crafty, studious. Okay, so right there you're kind of creating some parameters for with which players, when they create a character, have options to pick. Okay, within a lore system. I like that. Okay, then we have the free people. So the Empire makes up humanity and halflings. Well done, okay? The free peoples makes up orcs, elves, dwarves, and goblins. Okay, so the other 4 races are part of these free peoples. Orcs are strong, bold, decentralized, ritualistic, and protective. Okay, I like that. Elves, mysterious, reclusive, nature-centric, spiritual. Note for players. The choice of elf for a player race is, in this setting, a half-elf. True elves would almost never be found among the common adventurers. I think that's cool too. Okay, so you did a really good job with this, and I think I might have to, for my Shadow Dark game, assuming we continue on in it, do this. I think this is helpful, and I think it creates the world in the sense that people who pick humans kind of know who they are in the world a little bit. Like you've given some not centralization. You've given some flavor to each of the races and to what they might know in the world. And I think I've failed to do that to the degree where my elf characters don't really know what's going on. Like I think I'm just dropping them in a little bit too blind. This is a good document. Well done. Let me keep going. I do know that I'm missing some stuff, but I'm going to keep focused on this for a minute. Keep going. Okay, dwarves. The hammers in the deep, secretive, industrious, artful, judicious. Okay, I like the way you use these descriptive words to instill some sense of character into players as they're choosing which races. I think that's really good. And I'm glad that the Shadow Dark system is lacking that, but I do think you're right to have made this. Like, I think you as the DM need to make this, and I failed to do that, and so that's on me. Like, I have failed to do something that my players kind of need, and I think that's why we're kind of having players go, who am I in this world, right? Because I'm missing this document. Goblins, scavengers in the dark, survivalist, opportunistic, energetic, and disparate. Yeah, so I got like 2 goblin players in my game, or had 2 goblin players in my game, and neither one of them really know like what their culture is or whatever. But I think you've done a really good job of kind of combining the races in the system into different sects in a really good way. All right, the guilds, Order of Steel. Let me drink real quick. All right, the guilds, Order of Steel. Knights errant, upholding the ideals of the Empire, independent of its rule. Chain of Ogden, bounty hunters capturing or killing the scum of the world. This is also really good because you have factions that are working in the world and they're named and they're simple. Like, you got one sentence: the acquisition, thieves employed in hired thievery. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm going to copy all this text and I'm going to rename and rewrite everything, but I'm going to use your formatting to flesh out my world system a little bit more. And that would also help me with our Braunstein system. Thank you for sending this to me. This is helpful. This gives me like a framework with which to kind of, because like you've done a good job in like creating a world and setting, and all I have to do is take this 2 paragraphs out here and drop in like 200 years ago, the kingdom of Glasden moved in and took over the region and blah, 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 blah. Right. And then I did the same thing. Here's the difference. The halflings are pirates in my world. The goblins are scum. The elves are, are basically the Maquis from Star Trek, and then the dwarves are a displaced, so I do the same exact thing. This is a really helpful, you should you should put this on drive-through RPG or something. Or put it somewhere, because like this, I mean, like maybe even if you take out all the, I mean, you could take all the text. I guess you probably don't care if anyone copies this and just plays your setting, right? But even still, this is a good formatting. I'm gonna keep going, okay? Goblins got that. Guilds. I was down to the 3rd guild, Acquisition, the Thieves Guild, Hired Thievery, and Independent Larceny. Got it. Blood Syndicate, cool. Assassins for Hire, protected by the highest halls of power. Very cool. And you know what? It like. When I first started in this section, like I was literally like, oh, this might be a lot of text. You made it interesting. Like you made it interesting where the story captured me like, let's see, right about here. Right about here, I was like, so what's going on? And then down to here, I was like, oh, there's like some official stuff in here, right? You got like the, whatever this, Anumum Imperius or whatever, like this, like, okay, this sounds real, you know, like this sounds like real. I was like, okay, cool. And then you brought in like this weird mysterious thing, like this chilled world, 18 months, ruining crops. Like that's a devastating calamity in your world. Cool. The Empire is afraid of this thing. I think you did a great job of summarizing what's going on in 2 paragraphs in such a way that I go, okay, cool. And then you have this realism system set in as well, where it's like, hey, there's the humanity, and then there's the halflings, and then there's like all these other races doing their thing. Okay, cool. All right, Jade Wardens, monster hunters, securing the boundaries of society for gold and glory. I think that's a cool faction. Of the factions, that's probably the coolest. Because these are the people who like are guarding the roads or hunting griffins. Right, that's awesome. So now my players can be like, I want to make a character who comes from the Jade Wardens. Dang it. All right, I'm just like, you did a good job. You did a really good job with this. The Crimson Banner, Lord Gostock's private army. Wow, okay. Because in your factions, I also learned about like the world a little bit. That's really good. All right, let me go back up here. The core information, the game. This campaign will be played using Shadow Dark rules. The style of this campaign will have the following principles. The player has ultimate agency. Have goals, dig deep, push limits. Be curious to search the unknown. Be creative and ask interesting questions and come up with devious solutions. Be courageous to go one more room. Your character will be defined by their actions, not their backstory. Excuse me. They may die, and that's okay. Rolling a new one is fast. The world is dangerous and alive. Cleverness and preparation will help you survive, and maybe then thrive, and maybe even thrive. Your success will not come from finding the right ability to solve the problem, but from treating the world as real and being inventive. Make allies, find leads, explore the land, find treasure, slay foes, bring the treasure to safety, party and spend until you're broke. Repeat. Taking notes and drawing maps is very valuable practice. Let's see, I can provide blank hex maps if you'd like, and I recommend drawing flow charts for dungeons rather than trying to recapture exact geography. If there's one goal I have for this campaign, it's this. And see, at the end of each session, I would like to ask, what do you want to do next week? And get an answer that will guide my prep. As a GM, my goal is not to prescribe story for you, but to build a world that feels real, that you can play, grow, and gain power in. You can change the world. You can go where you want. You can do anything. We can change the rules as we see fit. And as always, and I always welcome feedback and questions to make this an enjoyable campaign for all. And you, dear player, will create a character arriving in the town of Fairhavens who has taken up a life of adventure. Perhaps you are simply tired of eking out a quiet life on the frontier, or have grand dreams of being a lord, or want to spend piles of gold on getting drunk and fat, or have hit rock bottom and have accrued great debts, or just want to see what's out there. For whatever the case, you have reasons for wanting riches and magic items and influence. And because survival is only possible with help, you will ally yourself with like-minded adventurers and work together in unity to accomplish your goals. This world is large and full of wonders. Let's explore it. All right, yeah, this is really good. This is good. I like what you've done here. And
how many pages total is it?
It's 1 page so far. Let's see, total I think it's 4 pages.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so this is really good. And what I'm already thinking about is giving my players a little bit of a session 0 restart. If we're going to keep going in Shadow Dark, my players are already saying they feel a little bit shoehorned into some of the some of the mission that they're on. And I really like the way you've opened this up to be something where characters are going to go exploring out into the mist or whatever and figure out what's there. And all you really have to do is, I mean, so you've kind of created a wild sea setting for Shadowdark. And honestly, it wasn't really that much. I mean, okay, this was probably some amount of work, but it's not that much text, at least. It probably was a lot of work for you to make this, but it wasn't a lot of text. Let me see. Hold on. I want to make sure I haven't missed anything. Okay. Yeah, you haven't jumped in here and told me I'm reading it wrong or something. Okay, I got panicked for a second. Okay. I'll get back to the comments in a minute. I want to keep going because I like what this is good. This is really helpful. Last couple pages. Okay, so the last couple pages are just you indulging in your world building. Okay, I'm gonna skim through it because. All right, hang on a second. All right. Yeah. All right. So supplemental information. You have some information on the Empire, explaining how the Empire works with humanity and the Halflings. I think this is really good. So I've done some similar things loosely in my own world building, where I essentially have like the Halflings, and they're kind of living in this burg, built out of ships. They're a bunch of pirate people or whatever, and they have some connection with the goblins, like at least the worldly goblins. But I think what I failed to do in my world, once my players started making characters, I failed to do this thing where I essentially established what a goblin would be in my world, so that when someone is a goblin, they kind of know who they are. And I think you've done a really good job of doing that, because when someone makes, say, an elf in your world, they kind of know who they are. Right, yeah, like here, and you have each one. Okay, here's the free peoples, and you've broken down. Orcs are united regardless of location or bloodline, adhering to principles of strength, self-sufficiently, ritual, clan, and kin. This has not totally prevented wars between many hundreds of orc tribes, okay, often in the name of preserving the true orc spirit by eradicating those weaker ones. Okay, that's cool. Like you did a good job of establishing a lore for orcs, so when someone plays an orc, they know who they are. And I have not done that. Bummer. Okay, I'm trying to think if there's a way I can still salvage this. I think there is. I think there's a way I can kind of just make up this document this week and establish some things, hand it to my players, and maybe either back up our story or advance our story a little bit, but then drop them off kind of in the same situation. Yeah, all right, that's okay. This is giving me some ideas. This is helpful. Thank you. All right, context. This campaign is rooted firmly in medieval history, taking inspiration from the barbaric lands of Europe, northeast of the edges of the late Roman Empire. Themes of Germanic culture and beliefs and land, barely touched on by distant empire and hardly tamed by civilization, will guide the course of the world. Of course, there are fantastical elements like magic, or like mages and enchanted items, and monsters, but they are special even within the setting. Okay, so magic is often associated with the monsters that wield it. Wizards are rare and feared and treated with disdain. That's interesting because that establishes who a wizard would be in this world. I like that. That's great. Even the healing magic of a priest is seen as unnatural, with herbal remedies being the preferred method of recovery for the average citizen. On a more meta level, this game is steeped in D&D culture of yesteryear. Modern games that... see, this is helpful. I might even just copy this literally because you've already written it out in such a way that...
Plagiarism.
I'm going to plagiarize. I'm just letting you know. There's some of this I'm just leaving be. Yeah, that's helpful. I mean, to be honest... I think this should be in the Shadowdark book. Like, I'm not kidding. This... You need to put this like with the stuff that goes on Shadowdark. This would be so easy to run, and this is exactly the thing I was complaining about this missing from Shadowdark. I wish these 4 pages were literally in the Shadowdark book. It did not take that long for me to read it. It also helps with kind of setting up a system of a world. I understand that this is something that GM might need to do, but I didn't really know that. I've already, and I wasn't gonna how do I, so this is helpful. All right, Argus says I can definitely plagiarize it. Let me catch up on a couple things I'm missing here, and then I'm gonna get back to reading this because I want to come down to this. I see a bunch of bullet points, and I want to come to understand what these bullet points are. I love all this stuff here. I really think you should I really think you should get a hold of the Shadowdark Discord community and you know, this is helpful. Like if I'm trying to run Shadow Dark, I would prefer to run in this system because my players will know who they are in the world when they make a character. And there's several different ways they'll do that. They'll know who they are when they go, I want to say that my character is part of the Crimson Banner, right? The reason I'm a fighter is because I was one of Lord Gostick's private army. But because I haven't even read the rest of this stuff in your world, and I already know, like, I could be someone in I could be someone in Lord Gostick's private army, and there's a bounty out for me, right? That's why I'm at the edge of the world here, is I'm actually trying to escape because there's a bounty, because I didn't do an order to kill this orc village when we were conquering this place, and you know, I didn't wipe them all out. Whatever, like, boom, my character has story. Because you did this, your players will know who they are in the world, and because I didn't do this, my players don't know who they are. So, all right. Oh, interesting. Okay, so Tori says Kelsey didn't do that in Shadow Dark because every cursed scroll is a different setting. All right, interesting. Shadow Dark is an old school dungeon crawl style game. The basis is you adventure to adventure. Okay, I get it. So it's like, some of it might be that I actually have a little bit of issue with the play loop of Shadow Dark. And since I'm just barely seeing the edges of it, I get it. I think you're right. I think in Shadow Dark, it's kind of like Diablo 3. Like, what's the play loop of Diablo 3? You go into the Rift to get loot. Why do you go into the Rift to get loot? So that you can go into a different rift a harder rift to get better loot. And you go into that one so you can go into a harder, newer rift to get better loot. And people have lots of fun playing that game. And I had lots of fun playing that game for a long time too. There is a lot to this world setting though that isn't just go into dungeon, get loot. At some point I see, and I'll get to the rest of your bullet points in a minute, I see that there is some potential in this world setting for a band of people to go, let's go check out the Order of Steel. You know, they hear a rumor that the Order of Steel is something's happening, whatever. They all turn to zombies or whatever, right? The bounty hunters are doing a thing in this world. So there's some politics potential here with the way the world is set up, and very specific politics stuff. So, okay. Hang on. I missed some things. Okay, you did tell me that I could start plagiarizing it. I get that. Okay, cool. Thank you. Ticking Time Bob says, we don't allow elf characters in our Lord of the Rings RPG. Not because we don't like them, but we agree as a group that people cannot pull off Tolkien elves as justifying themselves, them as adventurers. Okay, well, and justifying them as adventurers. I get you. So no one can pull off playing one correctly, and also it's hard to justify their existence as an adventurer. That's interesting. Okay, that makes sense. I guess I don't know much about the Lord of the Rings RPG to know exactly how the setting works with the, with the races. But yeah, that's a system I'd have to look into a little more, or maybe we can talk about it sometime. I actually, you know what? Let's do that. Maybe a ticking time bomb. If you're interested, I'd have questions for you about the Lord of the Rings setting, probably as many as I would have for you about the Pendragon setting. I don't necessarily want to jump into a game of it yet, but I would still have questions for you because I don't know anything about it. Hang on, let's see. I'm way behind. Really cool stuff. Okay, prep. All right, let's see. That's the goal of a great primer. No, right, this is a great primer. I think he's done a great job. All right, Gary says, keep in mind, Nate, you've only been GMing for a relatively short time and you're still finding your voice in that venue, which is really cool to see. You are seeing things You are seeing things in a very cool vision. Okay. Don't rush yourself. Thank you, Gary. I appreciate that. Like, just like when I see something like this, I'm like, I wish I had done this, because all the things that my players are having an issue with, like all the things my players are having an issue with is solved by these 4 pages, right? That's the reason I'm like, I kind of want to jump into Wildsea. And I might still jump into Wildsea, but I think an easier Band-Aid for the problem we're having is doing this. Even if we stay exactly where we are in the world right now with maybe just a tiny bit of rewinding, I still think this document solves my problem. Missed some stuff. Let's see. Yeah, this doesn't show a lack in you. It's inspiring for you. No, that's true. No, it is. This is like, oh, I want to do this now. DMing is like everything else in life. You learn a lot from making mistakes. This way you find what works for you. Yes, it's helpful. It's helpful to find this type of thing, because initially my response is to go like, no, this won't work. Like to deny it or whatever. But it's really hard to do when I'm reading it and kind of going, oh, I've just read the solution to a problem I had, right? Like it's 3 paragraphs or 1 page, right? All right, let's see. Plagiarize it. Yep, use it as a template. Satori says he went with a Free Peoples in his Shadow Dark game as well. All right, last couple pages you already said is world building. Okay, all right. Kelsey didn't do that in Shadow Dark. Okay, Shadow Dark is an old school dungeon crawl. Okay, we got that one. Okay, Kelsey did. Okay, so Scott, you're saying Kelsey did do this in the Cursed Scrolls. I guess I didn't see this stuff in the Cursed Scrolls. I only looked really through. So I skimmed through the Cursed Scrolls mainly to take out the class sections to put in like my one book, because I got them all separately and then printed them out. And I looked through the Cursed Scrolls a little bit. I got the idea that the one with the Vikings was kind of like a Viking adventure. The one with the Sand Raider, like desert people, was like a what
the Rosdo guy.
Yeah. It was like a oh, I just blanked out, like a desert, like a Middle Eastern type of adventure, right? I got the idea that the Mugdal Blub one was like for witches, and anyways, so they reached their own different thing. I got that, but I didn't see this type of document in there, and maybe I missed it. I pulled a bunch of stuff out, combined them in my different books, but I just didn't see this part. I saw the gloaming section. Maybe that was it. Maybe it was in the section where she explains the gloaming and does a little bit of world building for the gloaming. And you know, I don't know. Like, I guess the solution would be to just implement something like this and lay it over the top of the world system that we're in right now.
Well, I mean, you kind of skimmed through it and wasn't looking at it, were you?
Well, was looking through what?
The Shadow Dark.
Oh, Shadow. No, I mean, I did I read whole sections of Shadow Dark. Okay, I skipped reading through all the monsters. I didn't figure it was essential for me to read all the monsters in the time that I had. I skipped reading through like some of the higher level spells, but read through what kind of spells there were. And once I got the idea of how spells cast on the game, I realized that like once you read a name for a spell, you kind of get the sense of how it works, right? Like, I'm not that complicated. It's like, how long do you hold the person for? But I get it, you're holding a person. I didn't read through all the encounter tables because I'm like, I don't need all the encounter tables right now, but I organized them. So I went through most of the book and read all the parts that I thought needed to be read, and parts that I didn't think needed to be read. I was like I didn't read all the magical items. You know, there's there's not that much content you have to read to start running Shadow Dark, to the point where I'm like, you can actually get that idea of what you need to read within 2 pages, page 8 and 9. It even says it on page 9. Guess what? You're ready to play. I like that about the system. So, hey, Wickedly, how's it going? Nice to have you catch us as well. We're looking through a primer document, and I'm wrestling with I'm wrestling with what to do now that I've seen this thing, because this is like, I mean, I can't unsee it. You know, I can't put this back in the box. This is now out of the box, and I have to encounter this now. This document means I'm either telling my players that we're going to restart a couple things, we're going to restart everything, or we're going to leave.
I feel like we've kind of finished up the campaign.
Okay, we're going to leave the characters that are currently being played in the situation where they're currently playing, and we're going to take up the roles of new characters doing a different thing in the world. And I'm not sure how I feel about any of those options, because I'm not sure how my players feel about those options. So we're going to have a conversation either way, so that we're not going back to a game where people are playing sort of just like, I'm going to try and kill this character, I'm going to try and kill this character, right? Like, we don't want to be playing that. Anyways, let me, I was reading some kind of comment here. Okay, so yes, I am a freshman. I agree. See, Kelsey did great to give enough to let you add what you need for your table. all right, fair enough. And maybe that's something I should have gone. I probably should have just gone through the whole gloaming thing, but I think I did the same thing Bishop did. I kind of want to run my own world. There's something that feels creative about establishing this thing for yourself. I just didn't have this document to do it with, and now that I do, I can kind of go through and go, all right, not the chain of Ogden, but the something else, like maybe a bounty hunting group. That's a good idea, right? I might even leave some of these things to rename them or something. I know I have a wizard community, and they're called, I forgot their name. It's on a 3x5 card downstairs. It's a good question, Wickedly. So this document, let me find myself. This document is, let's see. So Argus sent me this document. It is called a campaign primer. And what it does, now I gotta try to explain it. What it does is that you take a system like Shadow Dark, where it's kind of an agnostic system, and you essentially give flavoring to the system with a setting, and it does it in several paragraphs. So first it talks that it's going to have like how all the themes are going to work out and what system it's in, okay? And then that's basically the front page. And then here's the core information. So we have the setting. I'm going to just summarize it so I don't read it all over again. Basically, like a long time ago, some big, strong empire came in and took over a region. Okay, that's actually a similar story to what I'm running. It's just coincidence that it happens to be. I've got like a human nation. This one happens to be like humans and halflings. They took over the area and they displaced all these free peoples here. So like the orcs, the elves, the dwarves, and goblins are all kind of like whatever. They're like the people who lived here first, and someone comes in and colonizes their area and occupies them, and it's called the empire or whatever. Okay, and the empire is there for a long time, and then there happens to be this strange calamity that fills the whole region with fog for a while. Like a weird magical fog comes in, and all the crops die. The empire has to kind of go out from being really, really big to being really, really small. They all come back to the capital city, and so the campaign starts with characters who are on the edge of the fog, or where the fog was, okay? And people are kind of trying to go out into that fog area to explore and figure out what's going on. If I'm understanding right, it's a chilling fog that's there, and it's been there for a long time. But okay, so let's see, blah, 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 blah. It is on the edge of the Forsaken Frontier. Your adventure begins in one of the last villages before the barbaric wilds, okay? It's a town called Fairhaven, okay? So everyone knows what they're doing when they start. If you pick a human or a halfling, you basically know you're part of this empire. If you pick an orc, an elf, a dwarf, or a goblin, you're part of these free peoples who are they each have their own, so the dwarves are secretive, industrious, and artful, and judicious. And so, this document basically helps flavor the world system in such a way that when your players say, I want to pick a goblin, they know they've picked a survivalist, opportunistic, energetic, disparate character who is not on the winning end of things, right? So right away there's some character being built into it just by picking a goblin, which is exactly what I was complaining about Shadowdark a few minutes ago. And I'm being told that some of the cursed scrolls had this kind of information, and I probably just glazed over it too quickly because this is all helpful stuff. Then on top of that, I lost my mouse. Hang on, there we go, I found the mouse. On top of that, we have guilds, and these guilds help to create some sense of what factions are working in the world. And then there's a long explanation of what's going to be expected of the players. You guys might have to draw some maps. Your characters might die. You can make new ones. Each time you go out into the wilds, there's danger of encountering weird magical enemies. But it also kind of lets you know down here a little further, in some of this different explanations of the free people, how magic works in the world, that people are afraid of certain things. Here we go, magic is associated with monsters. So if you pick a wizard, you might have to hide the fact that you're casting spells. Even if you're doing clerical spells, you might have to be secretive, because in this world most people use use herbal remedies instead of magical ones, right? So all this stuff is basically helping to flesh out the world for people who want to play it in such a helpful way that the thing that's lacking in our game table right now is my players going I don't really know who my character is. And that's kind of my fault, right? Because I didn't make this document. So that's what this document does for the game. It also kind of establishes what the role of the DM will be and what the role of the players will be, that they're going to be, like, it even says it directly, like down here. No, hold on. No, up here. It even says it directly. Okay, you guys are going to be doing this stuff. Okay, because survival, where was it? Okay, you can change the world. Okay, well, you're right here. This is like a meta comment. We change the rules as we see fit, and I always welcome feedback and questions for you to make this campaign enjoyable. Like, this is kind of a session 0 document. This is helpful, right? This is a very helpful document to have, probably for your players too. Anyway, so let's see. I'm seeing all the things that are popping in right now, but I'm also remembering, like, I always kind of want to catch up because I don't want to miss people's comments because people are giving such good tips here. So
can you try and end fairly soon? Yeah,
I'll try and end pretty soon. Okay. All right. So Pendragon is wild. All right. Let's see. Yeah, the elves in my city. Okay. Like Lord of the Rings. Ultima, Shadow Dark, basically. Okay. My SD game went weird, trippy, and urban when it became the Goblin game. I just need to build a world that makes the loop worth playing the game. No, that makes sense, John. All right, let's see. Then back here. So I love she has the lost gods, so you can put those in yourself. Okay. I was talking to a friend how D&D is so set in the lore that there's nothing for you to add as a DM. Interesting. Wow. Okay. Huh. Oh, I get what you mean. So, like, basically, there's these old lost gods. You can decide which gods are powerful in your world and all that. Yeah. Okay. No, that makes sense. Yeah, I had problems with the Dungeons and Dragons lore system. Like, it just was stupid. It was so dumb to me how some of this stuff was worked out. Like the story of how, like, all these gods lost their power, and like there's this bigger god that was superior to them. And I'm like, wait, that means there was a time in the world where, like, someone went to a bar and got in a fight with this guy who used to be a god and beat him up, you know, and then people went back and worshiped that god next week. I was just confused. All right, see.
They beat him up at a bar.
I don't think it was just a dumb story. I was like, all the gods lost their power. Like, these gods crashed down to earth. Like, they were all like, it didn't even say like they were like Hercules. They were just like nothing people, right? And then so there's some 20th level character who's just like giving this god a wedgie or something. Yeah, every week in the toilet.
20th level characters can literally kill gods.
Okay, hold on a second. I'm trying to do the thing you said. You said keep it okay. All right, Gary's saying all of us have been there, buddy. Okay, okay, wickedly caught up, right. Just have your SD characters go to a mid-sized city or military camp, or like that, so they know about the wider world since they are bumpkins. Interesting. Okay, the Traveler is one of the lost gods. Okay. Nate has a 1,000-watt light bulb going on. I know, I totally do. It's like bing, bing, right? And I'm like, okay. Pathfinder has camp. What's that?
What was he saying?
He's saying about the 1,000-watt light bulb. Like, I'm realizing, this is the thing I needed, right? All right. Pathfinder has a campaign primer and does them for each of their adventure paths. Interesting. It is a problem with trying to help your players fit into this established. Is it a problem with helping? Let's see. Is it a problem with trying to help your players fit into this established setting? All right. See, Gary says you asked about earlier. So you asked earlier about Savage Worlds and settings. It's completely lends itself to this sort of overlay, which is why he likes it so much. It's making stew. Interesting. There are thousands of different kinds of stew, and all are delicious. Okay, so. That's helpful, Gary, because that helps me to understand why you like Savage Worlds. Because yeah, I can see where you as the dungeon master get to do something very articulate. Okay, but it does require the DM to put in this kind of effort, and so that's also very helpful. So a DM who doesn't want to put in this kind of effort might want to just play something like whatever, D&D or something, or maybe Pathfinder, since you have like a module that's already doing that for you. Or maybe even WildSea, because WildSea is also kind of doing that. But I get the sense that WildSea might have to do a little bit of this. But maybe I haven't read far enough in the book. Let's see. Okay, so, Content Surprise says he's going good night. Good night, Content Surprise. Thanks for hanging out with us. Argus. Okay, so he's saying he appreciates the positive feedback. And then, he's saying that to Content Surprise. Let's see. D&D is a kitchen sink setting, especially Forgotten Realms. He doesn't like it, but it's also not his product. Okay, it's quite confusing. You'd be way better off with the old Pathfinder 2e setting, Birthright, if you're looking for a more cohesive D&D setting. So that might be something that Bishop would like to do, since I get the sense that he might like to be playing in Pathfinder. The thing that maybe we will do is pick up a Pathfinder book, and then I'm going to take a picture of this thing you just said, Birthright, and hang on. Birthright, where is it? There we go. Pathfinder Birthright picture. Okay, hopefully I remember that. Okay, yeah, because if he's interested in playing Pathfinder or whatever, then yeah, that'd be helpful. The other thing you can do, Bishop, is if you want to flesh out your world, we just restart, make our characters over. We've done basically nothing in the world, and you do this, right? You take this thing. I mean, like, heck, you could even just steal. Look, Argus doesn't care. You can steal his thing. You can make this document for your world. Yeah. Right? And this happens to be one region where the dragon was or whatever. You just take some of your stuff and strip it in and put it in this. This would be fun to make a character.
That'd work perfectly. Maybe we'll do that, because I would be interested in playing in that world again. Fixing some stuff. You guys know nothing about it. Nothing happened.
Oh, hang on a second. Oh, hang on. I misunderstood something. I say, John says Dark Sun is his favorite and 2E, AD&D. Oh, okay. So no, you're not talking about Pathfinder, not Pathfinder AD&D. Old setting from the 90s. Okay, so second edition D&D. Okay. Well, many of the people have been recommending Pathfinder in the comments, like for Bishop, like, since he likes the crunchy, complex game. A bunch of people are saying, like, hey, Pathfinder second edition. Oh, hang on. I'm gonna switch back to the other camera, because we're getting ready to wrap up in just a minute, because he's got to get reading and going to bed because it's school day tomorrow. Let me see what you drew. Let's see what you made. I said to make a flower mech, huh?
It is.
Hang on. You did a good job. That thing's cool. I like the 3D on his, like, lava cannon. What is that? Like, oh, is it a whip?
That's his whip.
He's got a whip, so he's like a little Balrog flower mech. That's cool, man. You draw well.
Laser gun.
And a laser gun. Hang on.
It's not done.
Yeah. Well, hey, when I decide to make a board game or a tabletop game, you can do my art for me, right?
Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. Hang on. Let me see. We talked about. Oh yeah. That's right. Hang on. That's right. We did talk about Birthright. That was so that's the system. If I'm correct, that's the system similar. Or sorry, that's the thing that basically is this similar. It's a similar mechanic to the Pendragon one, where you play as your ancestors and you pick up their barony after they die or whatever, and like you then pick a different. So you die, and now you play as your kid, and then you play as your kid's kid, and so on and so forth for like a period of time. Okay. Yeah, right. We did talk about that ticking time, Bob. Let's see. All this effort is front-loaded, and it provides a ton of momentum to keep the campaign moving with player motivation. Oh, that's cool. All right. Not Pathfinder. Okay, got that. Talked about Birthright. You're right. Yeah, a Forgotten Realms game. Let's see. Yeah, I played a Forgotten. Okay, so Troy says he plays in a Forgotten Realms game, but warped England into his Shadowdark setting. Okay, but he warped England into his Shadowdark setting. Okay. All right. I've caught up with the chat. Hey, everyone, thanks for hanging out. Oh, wait. One more. Wickedly. You're basically playing as a noble, if you remembered right. You're the leader of a nation, but you're also an adventurer. Alternatively, you can just use the setting and ignore the noble part. Okay, so that's then the Birthright one. Okay. Playing a leader of a nation. Oh, okay. That makes sense. And that might have been what Ticking Time Bob was referring to. I may have forgotten the thing you explained about Birthright. We talked about a lot of stuff, and I'm still trying to keep the Pendragon stuff in there so that when we go to the game, I'm at least familiar with how it plays. But I might have actually forgotten how the Birthright system works. Okay. Anyways, yeah, okay. We caught up where he's got to get to bed. You got to stop drawing your thing. Have you brushed your teeth yet? You could have been doing that.
I can do that.
Okay, that's fine. I'm still going to end it because otherwise I'll get caught up in like another 20 minutes of talking. Okay. So thanks for hanging out with us. And thanks for the feedback. Argus, thanks for sending this. Thanks for sending this document over. This is helpful. Taking time, Bob. Thanks for hanging out with us tonight. Everyone else, thank you. John, send me send me something where I can find that cyberpunk system so I can take a look at it. And
Cyborg, I think it's...
no, Cyborg would be the Morkborg one. He's making his own.
Oh, he's making.
Yeah. So send me the one that. No problem. We can leave. I still have to get better about scheduling it. Like I want to try and basically do 8 o'clock on Mondays, but I need to actually.
A little later would work if we did.
Yeah,
like
probably realistically like starting around 9 is.
Or 8:30. 8:30
okay.
would probably.
Anyways, we probably want to keep it consistent. Like he gets back from Taekwondo on Mondays, and we're gonna do it like afterwards when he's eating stuff, and usually he'll be painting, and I'll be yammering about something. But
drawing works fine. So you gotta get a game. You gotta start.
I gotta start making a game. Okay, so if any of you are making games, he'll make art for you. Okay?
Yeah, I'll make art.
Let's see. Last one. Let's see. Okay. A tip for building a setting: start small, build a town, have the adventurers start there, then move into the region, etc. All right. Cool. All right. Thank you so much. Have a good night. I'm actually going to hit the goodbye button. All right. Let's see.
Wait, don't start yet. Yeah.
What?
Don't
Okay,
leave yet.
What?
Well, we gotta say goodbye.
Okay, yeah, goodbye. Have a good night. God bless you.
Yeah, God
have a
bless
good week.
Bye.
Thank you for all your comments and the information you guys give
What's
us.
pretty dope?
Yeah.
Wait,
What's that?
what's pretty?
Oh, I think he's talking about the mech, the flower mech.
okay.
Yeah, people. You got someone also said it. Yeah, that's good stuff, Bishop. That's awesome. All right, yeah.
you.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
All right.